order. It's 5:13. Sorry, we were running a little bit late, but that's okay. And I have no minutes. I'm going to have to do all 3 sets of minutes next week because I just have been too busy. So this is a working meeting to review policies, the ones that we've been going over from the HR consultant. Was there any emergent issues that need to come before us, Margaret? Or, because on the agenda, I put other business as may be appropriate, but I
One
didn't.
personnel action form.
Okay.
This one is for Donna Trailer, who's the Board of Health clerk, who's actually filling in on an intermittent basis at the transfer station, so as needed.
Okay. So this is basically to review her, that she can pick up hours in the transfer station. Now, what rate does she get paid?
Same as her Board of Health clerk.
Okay, great. All right, good.
And that's
And this is the same person that's filling in the assessor's office as well?
She is. She's a floater. She's a real floater. She's got skills in so many different areas.
Is that, what was she technically hired for?
She's Board of Health clerk.
Yeah.
So this is just her picking up extra hours to help out in the different departments. So, given that information, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the PAF for Donna in terms of her assistance in helping out at the transfer station. She is already helping out in the assessor's office as well.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Do you want me to pass this down? Would that be easier?
No,
It
come
looks so
on.
stinking good here.
I was gonna say here's one.
Plates, napkins. Okay.
All right, and Margaret passed out some additional information for us to do our work on the market analysis and adjustments.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we will take this information
The one with the-
into consideration when we bring up our recommendations
I don't
next week.
care.
Okay.
Playing dirt and sewer and everything. Think your hands bother me?
I'll get it for you. I
No,
just
she
cleaned out a
got it.
bunch of stalls. I'll go get it for you. No, I didn't.
Okay,
That doesn't
so
bother
now
me.
we can start on the policies, unless there's other business that anybody wants to attend to.
Where did we end off?
We ended off on page 31 of 100, I think.
Yes, that's what I
Does
thought.
that sound right?
Let's see.
Or 30 of 100, I guess. 'cause-
30.
30, so,
Yeah.
good, here's a good.
We got as far as the vacation,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, and we agreed on that, the 2 weeks. Correct? 1 year, 2 weeks,
Yep,
which is common
Yes.
nowadays.
Yes.
yep.
Thanks, Margaret.
So do you want? Yeah, I'm coming. Oh, well,
Okay,
I need
Yep.
steps. I could have.
So, I know this is on camera, but I love pepperoni and spinach pizza. The leafy greens offset the processed meats really
there
well.
you go. That sounds good. Same with the pineapple and the ham. Makes you feel a little bit better, right? Oh, goodness.
There you go. Isn't it awesome?
Roger, it wasn't too bad, huh?
My favorite. Good.
You can have some of the other ones too, probably.
Come help me.
Okay, so we're on page 30.
Okay.
1, I believe.
Sick leave? Or am I not?
So, the way this reads now, So an employee can take 2 weeks vacation after 1 year of employment. I just want to be sure at what point does the employee start accruing the vacation? So this has been a question, well, it's actually come up in independent employment contracts and obviously with the last 2
Yep.
hires to try to get bodies in here. So my contract, for example, is an accrue and use as you go. So, this notes about accrual, but does this still, I could be wrong, does this still
Up to?
require?
Is that how it's supposed to be,
Well-
up to the 2 weeks? They start immediately?
Well, so I mean, I would be okay with starting the accrual at time of hire, but kind of accrue as you go. So by the time you're done your probationary period, you might have a day or something, and you'd at least have something to be able to use. Now, I don't know if this reads that way, but
Should take out.
I'd like to see, and it's what I had written in the first draft that came out to us, and I'd like to see them start accruing once they start, but also be able to start using some of the time that they accrue after their 90 days.
So would
I
it,
agree. I'd like to.
Yeah.
We have to make it say that, right?
would
Yeah,
it be a half a day for the first 90 days and then per day after that? Because it's 2
it
weeks.
would depend on what their accrual is.
June.
So,
Okay,
throw
assuming
me a napkin?
assuming it goes by this,
Throw
and
me a
it's 2
napkin,
weeks.
please. I
Um,
forgot.
So they'd have to do a half a day the first 90 days
Then you don't even have to walk over.
and then a day afterwards.
Something,
If-
something
Right?
like that.
This wasn't gonna
Yes.
roll
If
very
it's,
well.
if it's 10 days divided by, are we doing it
12.
monthly accrual by 12?
12.
Yeah, because it's .83. It's .83 days a year, a month.
So if you did a half a day for the 90 days and then a day afterwards, that would equal out. Correct? You can't, because you can't go 12, you can't go a full day because now they're giving them 12 days. If-
Right.
If it's this is what we ran into before, the accrual, whatever that word is.
Yeah.
I know you can't go above and beyond that, but I had all that time. So I think that's the easiest way to explain it. So we don't run into that same problem again. I have made up all that time, saved all that time. Do you know what I mean?
no.
You
No,
lost.
So if
Yeah.
we start at the top here, we
Yeah.
can make a change to say, vacation pay is granted to all full-time employees for each vacation year, calendar year completed in accordance with the following plan. So what we're gonna have to say is, vacation, leave is accrued from the time of hire but unable to be used until,
Probation
okay.
period.
Vacation leave is accrued monthly from the date of hire at the rate of whatever. June, did you want to break it down as, I like Tom's idea, to accrue at a different rate during the probationary period, but that would require us to kind of add a little bit more.
What are you thinking? Is it gonna be 2 weeks or is it gonna be 1 week?
It's 2 weeks.
So we're gonna get rid of the 2-year mark, right? Is that-
We're gonna get rid of that whole
Yeah.
first line, 1 year of service, 1 week per year. And we're gonna change that,
To 2 weeks.
1 year of service to 2 weeks per year.
So I would
So-
change vacation pay, right underneath number 1, I would change
Yeah.
vacation pay to vacation leave.
Okay.
Vacation, because you don't, the pay is not just granted, it's vacation leave. Oops, let me see if I can figure this out. There is granted, okay.
To all, and should it say full-time employees?
Well,
Full and part-time employees working 20 or more hours a week, and that's okay. Full, so, I'm trying to,
Now, also keep in mind is that, most people are not gonna start on the first. Like, is this
Right.
gonna go by their anniversary? That's another question that has
Yep,
come up
yep.
before.
yeah,
If it's gonna be based on their anniversary date versus fiscal year.
hired date. Their
Yeah,
hired
that's
date.
better for you, right?
only in year one,
Not really.
because
Okay.
otherwise it
But it
becomes
doesn't matter.
an
Okay.
administrative
Right.
nightmare.
That's
So
right, yep,
it
you're
can
right.
accrue, it can accrue monthly in year one, up
Yeah.
to 10 days. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So if someone is a brand new hire on July 1, they can accrue monthly up to 10 days, and that would get them their 10 days of
Yep.
vacation for the year,
Yep.
2 weeks.
But if they were to start, well, yeah.
If they were
'cause
to
it would
start
be-
on September 1st,
So if we did the 1 day per month.
1 day per month, in year one only.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
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 And they'll work up to 12, could work up to 12 if they
Okay.
came in, depending on what
but
they came in.
how will that,
And then as of their first anniversary, then they would get the full 2 weeks, right? Is that how it would be, or?
how would that
Yes.
screw you?
Yes.
Would that screw you guys up because of the fiscal year in July?
better to put them all in on the start of the
It's
fiscal
just,
year.
it would either be based on the fiscal year or the anniversary year. Some
Okay.
of them, I think, like, it should be an anniversary year, even though it's more paperwork. I think it's,
Easier to keep track of
Yes,
everything.
I don't
because
think it's
if I
easier to
come
keep
in-
track of, but it
if I-
might be more.
If I start and you hire me in May, which is when I came in, then that would mean I get one
Vacation.
vacation day, and then next month, I get a whole 2 weeks.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be all on anniversary day higher.
Versus
That-
if
man.
it's,
yeah, no, that,
Because it's-
I think
yeah.
that would be so hard to,
Well, she said it would be easier
It-
oh, if,
for to do anniversary. It's more paperwork.
well, no, I mean, either way, it's pretty much
It's
the
more
same. It's
paperwork,
just,
but it
which is
would
the
be
way it's
easier to keep track of
fairest.
everybody's exact amounts that
It
are.
doesn't matter, you're still gonna have to track every person individually.
Exactly.
Because it all depends on how long they've been here as to,
mm-hmm,
you know what I mean?
But would it
Okay.
be easier for anniversary?
It's easier to describe, to explain to them though, when they come into
Date
your
of hire.
office with a question.
yeah,
When it's so direct that it's your anniversary date. I'm thinking, the big problems
Not July.
right now is the explanation sometimes.
right.
Because I'm just thinking it would be nice to have it across the board
Yes.
Yes.
on everything. And unfortunately, I think like with sick time, it's based on July 1.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
if you're gonna do that,
yeah.
then we would wanna do vacation at the same.
Yeah, well, the difference between sick and vacation though is we don't have sick leave buyout, sick leave. you
Buy-
know what I mean?
buyback.
Payback, buyback.
Anymore, yeah.
So,
We still do have a couple of people though, and it's in contracts, but.
all right. So we have to think of how to word this.
Word this.
Should we do this? Okay. Vacation, okay, so, vacation on a pro-rated basis, vacation,
And I think that word throws people off.
What?
Prorated, because they don't understand.
okay, and maybe if we do play with this a little bit, vacation
Yeah, but it has to
leave
be there.
accrues
Yes, I
from the
know.
from the accrues on a monthly basis, no, for new employees. Oh, boy. For new employees, vacation, I'm typing this and I can delete it just as easy, so I'm just gonna say it out loud.
I thought that was
Vacation leave
somewhere.
accrues, vacation accrues from date of hire,
Mm-hmm, yep,
but vacation accrues from date of hire, but cannot be used
think the wording is in the police contract.
Is it really? I can go get the police contract if that's gonna help. But, vacation accrues from day to hire.
Okay, I gotta test this. I just want to see.
Okay,
I'm trying
but leave cannot be used
to completion.
until
Completion.
completion of the 90-day probation.
Probation period.
Oh, accrues monthly. Monthly.
Yes.
Accrues monthly. Okay, there we go. Monthly. From day to hire, but leave cannot be used until completion of the probationary period. Do we call it the probationary period, or is it introductory in this? I get,
Probationary.
it is probationary, okay. I know in some contracts it's probation.
I'm not sure it is in this one.
Or is it introductory?
I thought we
I thought
always
that-
called it.
This one is the old one is definitely probationary.
Probation.
The one that Sandy wrote,
Introduction.
I'm not sure what it is,
Let's
but
see.
Does everybody have a 90-day? Across the board through the
Yeah,
town?
yeah, I think so,
Okay.
which is good,
Yes,
Yeah.
but I just
don't
want
you
to,
think?
Except for the
Yeah.
collective bargaining agreements.
Oh, they don't have one?
Police
Fire
and
has
fire.
a 1 year, and I think police has a 6 month.
Really?
I
Wow.
think. Yeah, I have to look at, I'm not negotiating that right now, but.
which
yeah.
one? Police?
Police, yeah, we're negotiating.
Our
police.
collective bargaining agreements even say that the union will not represent the employee during the probationary period.
Uh-huh,
Oh, really?
Yep.
yeah,
Oh,
that's,
June got the CBAs. Let's see.
I still think it said introduction, like you people said, and / probationary.
I have to find out
Because
where.
I know we talked about that, and
Technically, it is. What do you call it? Probationary?
we call it introductory period.
oh, I like this. In the first year of employment, an employee will earn 1/2 day at the end of the first month of work and at the end of each following month, but shall not earn more than 5 days for that year.
So we'd have to change it a little bit, because that's giving it the 1 week vacation, I
Right.
think, right? For the
Yeah.
first year?
No, 1.5. She can come out to 10 days.
No, it said 5 days.
No, that's
It says 5.
what union.
Oh.
And then it says at the end of the
Exactly.
first year, the
Oh,
employee
wow.
shall be credited with
Really?
10 days of
That's an old
vacation
one.
Oh, okay,
I was going by
per
wording.
year.
okay, okay. I was gonna
So this one accrues, this is police. This one
Oh, no.
accrues, this one accrues at the start of the fiscal year after their period, their new hire period. Okay.
June,
All
we're
right,
trying
so
to remember what we call.
What?
I just think everything would be
Do
easier.
we call it
if they-
introductory period, or
keep
did we
track.
call it?
Is it probation?
Or did we call it probationary period?
I think we call it probationary. You know.
Okay, so what if we? Aha,
Oh, we called it probationary period on page 14 of 100. We kept it at probationary period. All newly appointed and promoted employees shall be required to.
so 1/2 day.
So it's 3, is that what you kept it at, just 3 months probation?
Yes,
Yes.
yep.
No, actually, it has to be worded days.
Was it
It has-
90 days?
90 days.
Yeah, we took it down from 6 months.
But not. Okay, so 4, 5 days for that year. All right,
But what if the person started earlier? Or don't we care?
in that first year of employment,
So like, what if they came in
if they came in in
August?
if they came in August and earned half a day at the end of the first month of work. Oh my gosh. Nothing's ideal.
I know.
Okay,
Right? Because if they, you said a half a day,
yeah. So someone who's hired earlier,
because then the question would be is if they, also keep in mind is that if they start earning vacation time and then they decide to leave before the first full year,
Do we pay them?
they're entitled, well, they were entitled to the vacation time.
Mhm.
yeah, they are.
So in
Anytime after
In
their
the-
90 days?
in the
Well, they can't use, well,
process that you're using now, do you
Oh, yeah.
guys, when they leave, do you pay that vacation to them?
Mhm.
Oh, you do, good, okay. So
Not, I mean,
not normally, it's not normally
So we're not
paid, normally
changing-
don't, but it depends on the situation.
by doing this, we're not changing
no.
like a big thing that you're,
I don't
And-
think so. no.
okay, good.
And what if
No, I don't
somebody...
either. A big thing would be accruing as you go. That would be a big change for non-union employees that are covered by this. That would
Okay.
be probably not very popular.
Right,
And that's not, you don't pay in the 90-day period.
Don't pay in the 90-day period. In fact, I think that this does need to specify that
Yeah.
employees can accrue but not use.
right.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing.
After, I would say
Should you have-
successfully completing their 90 days, not, because otherwise, if we let them go, then,
So if an employee is hired in July, then they'd earn up to 6 days in the fiscal year.
if it's a half a day per month.
Half a day per month. So why would we say, but shall not earn more than 5 days for that year? Why not just leave it at, shall earn a half a day per month, but shall not be allowed to use accrued vacation until the end of the probationary period?
Yep,
Or
That sounds
something
even
to
better.
that effect.
yeah, and,
That does sound
Successfully
better.
completing, because I'm just thinking, we don't want to have to write them a check if we let them go after 90 days,
Right.
right?
yeah, that's, yeah,
Um,
because you don't
we
pay
have to
out,
look at wage law.
you don't give vacation time to anybody who leaves within the first 90 days, right?
Hmm?
No.
So, guys, we don't
No,
need
I
it.
don't think so. As long as we specify that it's accrued but can't be used until after the
After.
successful
Right.
complete, okay.
Yeah.
So, half a day at the end of the first month of work and at the end of each following month. Okay, period. I'm
Do you-
just gonna say
Do
period.
you think that's going to be good enough, though, to get new hires for their
Wait a
first
minute.
year?
Is that better be you now?
Yeah,
Sue
it's
keeps
Tommy.
looking at hers because she thinks it's hers.
I get nervous that
Let me turn this down.
my husband
Yeah,
calls.
because, yeah, that would be a good thing. Because I'm just thinking, because that means that you're possibly giving somebody less than 2 weeks vacation when they start.
You are. No matter what, we're giving someone in their first year of employment less than 2 weeks. You're right. I mean, no
So, I
matter
mean,
what.
if you were to do it, you could do 1 day per month to a max of 10 days.
Yeah, you could, which is.
Or 40 hours, I don't know how you want to word about it, because we have an issue there with people who have switched over to
So,
working 10-hour days. 'cause
one
then they
day-
get 10-hour days versus 2 weeks, so.
And at the end of each following month, not to exceed 10 days in the first,
So that way there, if they come in July, they can't get 12.
yeah.
Right,
We'll earn 1 day, okay, 1. Okay, this is good, at the end of the first month of work, and at the end of each following month, at the end of each following month, vacation, vacation,
It's just, I'm thinking, no matter how you word it, somebody is
Vacation
gonna
leave.
get confused on this.
Well,
They're
once
gonna
that's done, then,
find-
like I said, now you're talking 10 days versus 2 weeks.
Yes.
okay, vacation, leave, I'm just gonna put in the first year, in the year of hire, in
should be
the
2 weeks
fiscal
of
year.
scheduled hours.
No.
2
Yeah,
weeks.
that's a good way to put it,
2
too.
weeks of
No.
scheduled hours.
Are you doing it fiscal year? Because if you're doing it fiscal year, it's not as,
Well, that's what we have to do in year one. We're gonna have to do that in year one, because it's gotta be prorated, right?
But what I'm saying is if you're gonna do that and only do it at fiscal years when you get your first full 2 weeks, then that could be somebody who's only working here 3 months. And then they would automatically get it. So it's just that first year on getting them to that first fiscal year.
Yep,
Depends on how long
No.
you're in here as to when you get
yep,
that.
and, yep.
Let me ask this, is, like, say the new highway personnel that were just hired, is that budgeted right now for that 2 weeks?
Yeah, 'cause every week is budgeted.
Okay. But even though we changed it
Change what?
from 1 week to 2?
Doesn't matter, you're not paying anybody to come in and cover.
Okay,
Right,
okay. No, I was just thinking,
It's just you're gonna have less.
So this is what I
Yes.
have so far, and I know we have to add more. In the first year of employment, an employee will earn 1 day at the end, will earn 1 day of vacation, 1 day at the end of the first month of work and at the end of each following month. In the first year of employment, okay. Vacation leave shall accrue from date of hire but shall not be used until successful completion of the employee's probationary period. Okay. So now we need to say, and at the end of each, not to exceed, okay, at the end of each month, not to exceed a total
of 2 weeks of scheduled hours. So we need to get some way in there, because we're looking at the full-time people, but we need to say.
5 days, 40 hours.
Right,
Because see, that's where this problem comes in, is we have some
Right.
people who are working 40 hours, but they're only working 4 days.
yeah.
So if
Right.
you're talking there, then that would give them,
So like,
2 extra
on this
days.
list
100
here in
hours
front of
versus
us, where
80
it
hours.
says, one year of service equals 2 weeks per year, 7 years of service equals such and such. So it should say 1 year of service equals 2 weeks of scheduled hours per year. I don't know.
well,
I-
2
I'm-
weeks here is the same thing as whatever the prorate is. So this is more clear than us saying 10
It
days.
does say part-time employees shall accrue vacation on a
Prorated basis, that's correct, yeah. Okay, so, yeah, the days things is what kills me, because if the person's only part-time, I don't want them reading that they're gonna accrue a day,
10 days.
10 days.
But like I said, the biggest thing is we have employees that work 4 days,
Uh-huh.
10-hour days. So if you get 10 days, that's 100 hours, not 80.
Right,
So that's what I'm talking about. Or
Right.
we have some that only work 3 days.
right.
And they work, different
like you
hours every
said,
day. So
scheduled
it's-
hours.
So that's, I just, that's the hard part, because everybody's gonna try and make it work.
To their advantage.
Right.
And I think the way Claire said it would be the perfect way to put it, scheduled hours, no matter, because it still comes to 40 hours whether you work 4 days, 5 days, 3 days.
Not there.
No.
There is days
Yeah, we have to.
versus
Wow.
weeks.
Right,
So we need to, an employee will earn, you could say a full-time employee will earn 8 hours.
Unless we base it on 40 hours.
And that's what they all work, correct?
5 days, 40 hours.
That's right. Yeah,
And I think that we almost have to do that, actually put it out there. Because then it has to be prorated for each individual person at this point in time. Because we have some that only work Monday through Thursday, 10 hours. We have some that work 6 days.
So
I
could
mean,
you
4
say-
days, 6 hours, and they still put in for 10 days, and that's not,
right, right.
And you have to explain it every single time.
every year.
Yep,
with the same people.
Look at her face.
And
right.
if they don't like June's answer, and go to you,
All
right,
right, so-
Margaret?
They won't dare, because I'd point them to June. All right, so what do we do? In the first year of an employment, an employee, so you want to define day. You want to define day.
I'm just trying to think on how is it fair across the board to everybody right now? But if they're coming in and they work, because we're basing it on a 40-hour work week, right?
Yep.
Yes.
And we're looking at it as 2 weeks being 5 days-ish.
Right, right,
For a full-time 40 hours, 8 hours a day.
right, yep, yep,
Which is kind of what most of this was all based on. And then when they say prorated, then it would be 20 hours or whatever,
right,
but
yep.
All right, so what if we boil it down to hours?
Scheduled hours, like Claire said.
1 day no, because that's still if you get 10, if you work a 10-hour day, you're not giving them 10 10-hour days.
Yeah, but it's a 40-hour scheduled week, correct?
It is, yes, but when we're saying you get credited 1 day per month, each
Credited
person's
hours?
day is different.
Can you credit hours worked?
Here, so
Wait a minute.
why can't we boil it down to hours and say an employee will earn, in the first year of employment, an employee will earn 8 hours, a full-time employee, 8 hours,
40 hours.
for a total not to exceed a total of 80 scheduled hours in their year of hire.
And
If we
then-
boiled it all down to hours, at least, I mean, there's no, I don't know if we boiled it all down to hours.
And like, a part-time person, typically, when you look at their FTE, so a full-time person is a full-time equivalent at 1.0, and a part-time person, say a 20-hour-a-week person, is a 0.5 of that. So one thing that, you know, you'd be able to kind of figure out is that they wouldn't accrue the 8 hours, they would accrue 0.5 of that, times however many
Yeah.
months. And same with a person who's like, do you have like any, you've got a 35-hour person, a few
Yeah, so some work
35-hour
6
people.
hours a day, some
So-
have,
Right.
You have to go
But
hours.
see,
and it
You'd
varies.
have to go by hours.
Right, so 35 divided by 40 equals .875. Like, we have 36-hour people, and they're .9s when we, you know, so when we do anything out there, .9. And I was helping a girl actually today over the phone figure out what her sick time was and how many, quote, how much time she had and everything. And I tried to explain to her that because you're a .9, your FTE is this, and your limit on your sick bank is this. So your limit, because we've got it written out as a 40-hour person, your limit is .9 of that, not 512 hours. Your limit is,
For something.
yeah, .9 of
Yeah.
the 512 hours.
Yeah.
so we could say a 40-hour-a-week employee. I mean, because we have 40, we have 37, we have 30,
30.
we have 35,
Oh,
we have.
wow.
20s,
Yeah,
20s,
right.
right? You got
Yeah.
anybody like a 23, 24 hour?
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got those.
So that's, you'd have to do it hourly so everybody's on the same level.
Or you can do it by the days, but you just have to note that the,
But see, that's when it becomes, as soon as
Part-time
you throw in a
peop-
day, in there,
Day.
everybody thinks that days mean,
So we need to, so hours, strictly hours.
Hours.
because
The
let's
only
just
way.
say, I work 6 hours a day.
yeah,
If I see 10 days, then that means I have 6 10-hour days, is what they look at and say, so then they
Oh.
come out with, I have 60
Oh.
hours.
okay.
And that's not, or I work 10 hours, I only work 4 days, and I work 10 hours a day. Well, then if you give me 10 days, now that's 100 hours, not 80.
Right,
You know what I mean? So that's
Yeah.
the big thing, and they're taking that literally right now.
Okay,
Right.
so
so
I think
it needs to say 1 year of service equals 2 weeks of scheduled hours per year.
Because we also have some that only work 3 days.
Oops. So Okay, 2 weeks of scheduled
I know this
hours.
is making more work, but is this something that maybe
This'll
we
be-
need to have a chart? Where, like she just
Yeah,
said, somebody
yeah.
is .9.
And I'm sorry, I forgot
And
to,
I have to
I
say-
forgot to send that to
And
it's
everybody.
written
As soon
down
as you
there.
put down .9, you're gonna have people just go, done.
That's okay, but it's in writing now.
Yeah, but you still have to have department heads calculate it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's where,
Yep, now I got you now.
otherwise, we're gonna need an HR person in the office. Because it's
do.
becoming,
Right, right.
it's getting to the
Yeah,
point
yeah.
where
We do
this
need an
is-
HR person.
Uh-huh. All right, so in the first year of employment, a 40-hour per week employee will earn 8 hours of vacation leave at the end of the first month of work and at the end of each following month, not to exceed a total of 80 hours in the first year of employment. Vacation leave shall accrue from date of hire but shall not be used until we could add then, again, that part-time employees shall accrue on a prorated basis. We
Yeah.
could, that way
Yep.
it's, okay. Vacation leave shall accrue from date of hire but shall not be used until successful completion of the employee's probationary period.
Yeah,
Okay? Then we'll say, it already says part-time employees shall accrue vacation on a prorated basis. Vacation leave is granted. See, so is it okay? So at the top of that section, it says vacation leave is granted, well, vacation pay is granted to all full-time and part-time employees regularly working 20 or more hours a week. And then it says part-time employees shall accrue vacation on a prorated basis. Can I move that down to right after where it says not to exceed a total of 80 hours in the first year of employment? Oh, I'm sorry, you guys aren't even seeing what I'm saying. And at the end of each following month, not to exceed a total of
Yeah,
80
move it right
hours in
down
the
there.
first year of employment.
Yeah.
And then it could read, part-time employees shall accrue vacation on a prorated basis.
okay, yep,
Okay.
yep. So 80 hours.
My printer prints differently than most.
I think it's good getting to the intent of it, even if it's not in final language, you know?
Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
So anyway, so Claire, you said, all right, 1 year of service, 2 weeks of schedule equals 2 weeks of scheduled hours for vacation.
Right, and I was thinking for each of those where it says the 1 year of service, the 7 years of service, 15 equals 3 weeks of scheduled hours per year, 4 weeks of scheduled hours per year, 5 weeks of scheduled hours per year, because that way it's clear to them that, you know, if you're 35 hours, you're gonna get, at 7 years, you're gonna get 3 weeks of scheduled hours, 3 weeks of 35 hours.
Okay, so I've changed it to read 1 year of service is 2 weeks of scheduled hours per year, and then 7 years of service, 3 weeks of scheduled hours per year, and
Yeah.
on and on.
Okay, good.
Do we keep it to 7 and to get to 3, or do we go to 5? Because we just went up to 2. I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate, you can tell me to be.
Yeah, what do
It
you,
would be more attractive, but
what,
it'd be more attractive.
I just think,
5, 7.
no, yeah, you were saying to wait until,
Ah. So, you know, we've got to think about the affected employees too. So when this
Right.
kicks in,
Right.
it's got to kick in
right,
for.
because I was thinking 5 years, 3 weeks, 10 years, 4 weeks, and then 20 years, 5 weeks. I don't know what folks' thoughts are on that.
5, 10, 20 sounds better than waiting for 7 years to get that extra.
June?
You want to keep them. It's an attractive thing, and most people take off summer months, correct? Do some people take off winter months?
I can't take off in the
Sure.
summer.
I don't know, do we have a lot of people?
I like 5. I would,
I think 5.
I
Yeah.
think 5, and then I think 10 for the 4 weeks, but,
5, 10, 20.
yeah,
We're gonna change that.
Oh, you also want to add continuous service.
Oh,
Right.
right.
oh yeah, continuous.
yes, okay. Good thinking.
Here's something dumb.
There we
Is
go.
an employee, say like if we have an employee out on Workman's Comp, is he still employed by the town?
Yeah,
Injury?
yeah.
Okay, anything injury related on the job?
But they're not
Yeah.
gonna accrue earn time at that time because they're not, they're not getting paid and they're not working.
Will that,
Unpaid leaves of absence typically don't allow
Right,
accruals.
right.
Everything freezes.
Yeah,
and then he goes back to where it stopped? Or they do not have to start all over, correct?
no, they don't have to start all
Only if they
over.
separate from service.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's just
Yeah.
something, somebody will bring it up. I'm
Right.
just saying.
You're right,
Somebody will
Tom.
bring that up.
You're right.
Somebody's gonna track that.
Exactly.
Well,
June?
All right, so you've got 1, 5, 10, and 20.
Yes.
June, what's the police one?
That's what I was just looking for. They don't have it written.
So we got rid of the
nicely like
7 and the 15?
Right, and it's
Okay.
gonna say 5.
Oh, theirs is different.
It is.
They
5 and
accrue an
10,
additional
And then goes 20, correct?
day. It seems like to infinity and beyond.
They get a lot.
that. Oh, yeah, it only goes up to 15. Sixth year is 15. And then it's 1 day,
And then it's 1 day.
up to 30 days.
Wow. That's not a bad deal.
Oh,
Yeah. So I like this. I like it. I like 1, 5, 10, 20.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep.
okay.
Okay.
And then,
Whew. Glad that one's done.
So you're going from 10 to 20?
10 to
1,
10
5,
to 20.
10, 20.
Yep.
So you gotta wait 10 years to get 5.
Yep. The nice thing about this is policies. We don't have to go to town meeting to change these. If it looks bad after we read it a second time.
Yeah, and again, this is a draft. Again, this is intent.
We still
Me
have to have the
personally.
selectmen read this, and they'll change it.
Me personally?
Okay.
4 weeks? with my
are we keeping the
spouse?
other language?
Don't think so.
Vacations may only be taken with prior approval. Was there anything in that language that anybody
Can you get
wanted to see
paid?
changed?
Use a day
So-
off, yeah.
Vacation may only be taken. I don't really understand what the second sentence means. I guess it's.
Total accrued vacation shall not be in excess of twice the employee's annual accrual rate.
So that would mean that you can't take vacation all in one shot?
This
But
allows
how would that even happen?
rollover, and currently our rollover is 1.5 times.
Let me see.
The employee's
Vacations
annual-
may-
Right, but you have to use it within 60, because if you really stop and think about that, there's really no way to get there, technically.
Total accrued vacation.
Not
shall
unless you use
not be
0.
in excess of
Ever,
twice the
ever, ever.
employee's annual accrual rate.
You can't roll over vacation, just
You can, but only, it's, well, right now.
120 days.
yeah,
You know, this,
90.
Total accrued vacation shall not be in excess of twice the employee's annual accrual rate.
I actually like the language in our current policy on this one, because it
Okay.
limits the amount of time the carryover can be on the books. So
Yeah.
it's 1.5 times the employee's annual accrual rate, and it can only be extended up to 60 days. Here it is. Vacation leave may not be accumulated to more than 1.5 times the applicable vacation leave accrual rate for an employee, provided, however, that the limit shall be extended for a maximum of 60 days if department scheduling or other extenuating circumstances related to the functioning of the department preclude the use of vacation leave at the time. So, and it should require department approval.
Right.
The purpose of accruing vacation is to try to use vacation, and when you allow
Yeah.
this carryover,
Right.
carryover,
Right.
it's not really encouraging.
Yeah,
It's not serving to encourage you.
Well, they can schedule a day off as a vacation day, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the wording in the old one, so.
So, looking at the current policy, so say I'm I've been here more than a year, so I get the 2 weeks a year. So it says vacation leave may not be accumulated to more than 1.5 times the applicable vacation leave accrual rate for the employee. So 1.5 times of the 2 weeks would be a week and a half, right?
1.5 times would be would be total of 3 weeks. It's half, it's 2 plus the 1, which is
Oh,
half.
yes.
Oh,
So it'd be like after 20 years, you can only carry over 7.5. So if you were to carry over the year before, at the end of the year, it really wouldn't matter for the first year
Yeah,
or two,
okay.
I don't think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you don't have any carryover from the year before. Well, yeah, you would. No, you wouldn't.
so, but if, say there's still 2 weeks there, they'd get 60 days to be able to use some of that 2 weeks to get down to the,
Yes, yes.
to get down to the 1.5 times.
This essentially says that it expires, the limit shall be extended for a maximum of 60 days, and at the end of 60 days, it expires. Remember when COVID hit, and then we further extended it?
Yep.
So there's like a real expiration on this, so this would expire August 31st. If a person hasn't used their carryover, it would go away. Which is actually a good thing, rather than keeping it on the books. For some.
For some people. And you probably also, on the new one, it says here vacation pay shall not be granted in lieu of vacation
Right,
in the new one.
yep.
So that
Oh,
way
with the new
there,
one.
it's not that you can get a paycheck for it if you want. For one, that would have an issue with budgeting.
Okay. Do you want to do twice or 1 1/2?
Do you want people to have 4 weeks sitting there, or where does that go at the end of the year?
Yeah.
The
Special
carryover
fund.
would go away at the end of the 60 days.
Yeah,
So whatever you have on the books for the current year, you can carry over,
that's what I was looking for, the
you can
kid.
carry over a certain amount up to 1.5 times.
So pretty much the way you can accumulate it would be if, let's say I carried over a week
Mm-hmm,
and I get an additional 2 weeks. So now I have 3 weeks. But if I use my vacation time for that first week, now I have 2 weeks that I could bring all the way around and then ask to carry that over into the next. So technically speaking, if you use that vacation time, you carry over right away
mm-hmm,
and then just bank your other, you can still keep,
yeah,
Keep rotating the 2 weeks,
Yeah.
basically.
and that's how it can,
Yeah.
yeah.
Keep rotating that 2
But-
weeks.
That's why the expiration is important, because if, it presents a financial liability to the town
Right,
after a while.
right.
And it's not, through,
Because some towns, some guys are carrying over, you figure a lot. Retiring 5 years early, still getting a weekly paycheck or a
Yeah.
buyout program
Yeah.
through it. Retire 3 months early
yeah.
and getting a paycheck.
So do you have like a bank of time like that for the employees? I mean,
we don't keep it on the books, but that is one of the things the auditors make an adjustment at the end of the year. So like I have to get a list of how many people are doing the carryovers because it's technically a liability at the end of the year.
right, exactly. And that just keeps on carrying over while they
Yeah,
get
the
a
only thing
raise
that
and
would
get a
be-
raise and get a raise, so then the liability goes
Well,
up and up and
that
up.
would be another issue, wouldn't it? What if I carried over 2 weeks at, say, $20 an hour? Now I'm
Yep.
carrying this
Yeah,
over
yeah.
at $23.
Yes.
So June's got to
It's-
account for that. Yeah,
Well, that's,
yeah.
so, as an
Although-
employee,
But it's still per se in the
Right.
budget. The only time
Yep.
it's gonna become a bigger issue, which we've had in the past, is that if somebody carries over and uses it, but they need to be backfilled.
Oh.
Because
yeah.
now the department head has to remember how many actual vacation weeks somebody has for coverage. So just because they're entitled to, say, 2 weeks, but if they carry it over a week,
Mhm.
then they have to have coverage, because that has happened where somebody didn't realize it was 3 weeks and they didn't budget enough. So that's the only big thing, where if we don't have, I don't want to say full-time department heads, but if you don't have
So-
somebody tracking it, it can turn into a financial issue towards the end of the year, because they run out of money if they don't have it budgeted.
Yeah.
that's not a bad idea though. Keep 2 weeks carrying over and you keep accruing
You
more
could.
because
Well, it
you're
depends.
at
I mean, if you have a
higher
big
pay
family
rate.
vacation, someday when COVID's over and
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. But I don't see that anybody would be able to, although the folks that are over 20 years, I could, because they're at 5 weeks.
Mhm.
So they're permitted to have
2.5
7.5 weeks on the books,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Okay, all right. Honestly, I don't think that's bad, considering that a lot of the entities that I work with is even more than that, so, yeah.
Yeah, you're
it's-
probably up
So-
in the 20s, huh?
Well, it depends on, like, our bank, the bank limit is like 512 hours, like I
Phew.
said.
But do they have it as vacation time only, or is that personal time?
That's all earned time.
Yeah, see, that's different,
Earned
because we
time.
also have the long-term,
Okay,
Mm.
yes,
Sickish.
and we haven't
Mm.
got to that yet,
Right.
okay. And I'll understand more about that when we get to it.
So what do you think here then? So do you think the 1.5 times, and do you think the limit shall be extended for a maximum of 60 days? Do you want to bump it up to 90 days?
after this last year, 90 days is, I think.
Probably more reasonable.
And the 1.5, keep it at the 1.5.
Yeah, because that's worked out pretty good for your administering it, hasn't it, June?
In the past, this hasn't become an issue. It wasn't until COVID that it really
Okay,
became. an
so
issue.
maybe the 90 days would be better, and that way it's like, gives them a little more time to use it.
Okay, the notification provided, however, okay.
Of course, I
I'll
have
add
to
it.
say, after the COVID with the mental health issues, it would be really good if people actually started using vacation time.
Yeah, that's
So
what
I
it's
don't want
there
to see
for.
this to become one of those where people are just banking it for whatever
Right,
reason, but
right.
people should be entitled to a vacation.
Yeah, that's why, that's another reason to have a good reason to have the timeline at the end, because it forces it. Even if a person just wants to, wanted to just kind of keep it rolling,
Right.
collect it,
Well, that's what
cash
I'm
out at the
saying,
end, they're
yeah.
not
Yep.
taking it when they should be.
Supposed to.
It shall be extended, okay, for are you okay with the 90?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Sue, you're not talking all the way from me.
I'm reading.
You're thinking?
90.
And
She's
that's
got her
really,
mask on the whole time.
it's really scary that I'm thinking.
I don't mean to laugh at you, Sue.
Oh, I'm laughing.
Do you still have the prior approval, right? It's in there now.
Yeah, where does that say?
It was right
Vacation?
underneath the years and the date. Vacation may only be taken with prior approval.
And what does vacation time shall have the prior approval of the appointing authority mean?
Supervisor has to okay it?
No, if we already have the head, department head or supervisor, vacation time shall approve.
Now, does he give you a copy of that, June?
But appointing authority, what is that
The
just?
supervisor of
No?
vacation time?
No.
The I sense
I think
that this might mean vacation, the amount of vacation accrual an employee has, maybe?
I think it's duplicating it for that.
It
I think
seems
it's
a little.
a little redundant.
Yeah. The use of vacation leave
The only thing is we may have to change now, well, no, it doesn't matter on this, but just keep in mind now we have
What?
actually committees and boards that also have employees. So it's not just a department head.
All right, so vacation, so strike the second sentence there, vacation time shall have the prior approval of the appointing authority?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All
because
right.
it's already got the, like Sue said.
Okay, and then, so, but we do have to say that total accrued vacation shall not be in excess of blah, blah, blah. That does require,
Isn't
that
that the
does require
language from
department
the?
head
We
approval.
do need to put that in
Oh,
because we, yeah, we've
There
had
was a
issues.
chronic, yeah.
Yep.
So we could say vacation leave and carry,
I mean, the department head really should be more on top of it as far as making sure that they're using the vacation time before it comes to that point, but we have to have it so that it's pre-approved.
total accrued vacation.
Could we do that and actually set a date, so like, how many weeks? So it has to be prior approval of carryover May,
Except that,
May 1st? I mean,
it
can
could, except that a
change.
lot of employees might use it in June.
But I'm saying that it has to be pre-approved by the May, because if it's not approved, then they have to force the
I see what
employee
you're
to
saying.
take the vacation.
That so-and-so will be allowed to to carry over X,
Yeah.
well, will be allowed to carry
Does that
over
make
some
sense?
of their vacation leave.
Does that make sense? No?
Yes, okay, I got it now. So you're saying it has to, the fact that they're going to be carrying it over has to be pre-approved
Prior to the end of the year.
prior
because
to the end of the year.
We've had an issue where they weren't, the department head wasn't really aware of how many hours were
Well, they're,
left
And-
over, and,
and the employee didn't make them aware either.
correct. So I'm just thinking that if we have that in here, either that
So where do
the
you want,
employee has to get prior approval by May 1st to carry over.
so how about we just say, vacations may only be taken, and vacation carry forward may only be allowed with prior approval of the department head supervisor. Now, you want a date, though.
Well, I'm just thinking, because they can wait till the end of the month and say, you know, the 15th of June, hey, I have 4 weeks vacation and I can't use them, I want to carry them over.
Okay.
And you can't say no, technically, because there's only 2 weeks left to use. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Then it becomes a problem.
All right, so then how about we say by May 31st? That way, most employees would have, I mean, you could say May
Yep.
31st, you could do May 1st, or you could do whatever. It's just that there's, the farther up you bump it, you know, earlier you bump it, the more likelihood it is that that employee's gonna be, you know, there's gonna be changes in that employee's vacation accrual, so.
Well, and that's true. I mean, but if you approve me for, say, 10 days carryover,
Okay.
and I want to use 2 between now and June, then that should be deducted.
Well, I can tell you that my contract requires me to give notice to the board by, April something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it
Wow.
was like way.
April
Yeah.
something that I'll need to carry over vacation.
Which is kind of.
That's early.
Yeah.
like-
That's early.
Yeah.
So if we did something like
That's why I'm thinking it's sometime in May.
sometime in May,
Because that way there, if it's not budgeted for next year, then they may have to take it now. But the employee should also know that. But
all right, so where do we want to put that? You know, first of all, the vacations may only be taken with the prior approval of the department head supervisor should be in the paragraph above the years of continuous service. like right after where the new sentence reads, vacation leave shall accrue from date of hire but shall not be used until successful completion of the employee's probationary period. Vacations may only be taken with prior approval.
Yeah, I think that's good. That way it's right up front before you even get to the,
There is a section there where it says supervisors can reserve the right to deny a vacation.
Which paragraph is that? Is that up higher?
No, below.
Oh, it's on the next page?
Yep.
at the bottom of page 30.
Shouldn't say. My pages are getting longer and
Mine's-
longer because of all these.
My page is
Oh, I
29.
see.
I'm like, I want another
That's
page
how it's
now,
printed.
but that's okay,
Yeah.
all right. So then, now we have a clean paragraph to put this provision about, so tell me what you want, like, so department heads shall approve vacation carryover no later than May. But if it's going by their, is this going by their year, their calendar year of hire now?
Well, I don't know, is this based on calendar?
That's what
or
we
fiscal?
should do, calendar year.
Not calendar year. It's either gotta be anniversary year or
I
fiscal
mean,
year.
that's what I meant, I'm sorry.
This does say calendar year, by the way.
Yeah,
be
we need to
anniversary.
take that out.
Anniversary.
Because the rest of the stuff, we said that already, right? That we discussed earlier, was the anniversary. Date of hire.
Okay, so where does it say calendar?
But see, then you talk about what's
It's
the
under
actual date of
I see
hire.
it.
Is it
The
the start
second-
date or
you
is
see
it the
it?
hire date?
For each
Yeah.
vacation year?
For each vacation year, and then it has calendar year in parentheses. So we want to make sure we pull that out, right?
Well, that's the question though, is are you gonna base it on though, like an anniversary
hire.
year, or is it gonna be based on fiscal year?
I'd just as soon leave it at fiscal year.
The old one says vacation leave shall accrue at the beginning of a fiscal year.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And the way that the way this language has been added about accrual in the first year of employment kind of takes care of,
That first, however many months before the beginning. So it would be,
but of
Given-
course, if someone's hired in June, then the start of the fiscal year.
and we've had that happen.
So what we need to do is we need to say the first year of employment is the first year of employment.
Full year,
Full year from
Till-
date of hire.
date of hire
But then what do we do? Then what do we
June
do? We do
30th?
need a flow chart.
It would be nice if we did it kind of consistently, however we're gonna do this.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have my mask on.
that's all right.
I was.
You're
was I
good, you're
doing a piece of
fine.
Pizza? No.
You're fine. We're 6 feet away from each other, so that's a good thing.
All right.
My glasses keep fogging up.
Oh my God, hopefully we get through this vacation piece. This is,
Right,
okay. In the first year of employment, a 40-hour per week employee will earn 8 hours of vacation leave at the end of the first month of work and at the end of each following month, not to exceed a total of 80 hours in the first year of employment. Okay. Oh, then how do you get them to catch up? Oh.
That's gonna be the issue for you two.
Mm-hmm.
to me, wouldn't we do like that first year of employment up until July 1st of the new fiscal year?
Well, that's what we were just, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they may not get, because they haven't been there a year yet. So they may not get the 2 weeks. So, but I see what you're saying,
At some point, they're gonna catch up, or
right.
some employees are gonna benefit greatly and others might.
Then the only other thing, yeah, because then if they're there if we give them 1 day per month and they come in August, August-ish, then that would be 10 days, so they could already have their vacation 2 weeks now at the end of their probationary, or the end of June, and they've already got 2 weeks, now they're gonna get another 2 weeks. So now they get 4.
Yeah.
So It almost should be at their anniversary dates.
So they're gonna get a day a month.
But then we have to definitely make sure that we know what the actual start date is.
Oh, God, and
'Cause
then
then
to
that-
track that on
that
payroll
just-
is gonna be just a
I
whole
know.
bunch of fun. Wow.
A day a month.
Yeah, because somebody would make out like a bandit if you hired me in August.
And you didn't take any time off.
Yeah.
That's right.
The first year.
Because think about it, you're not gonna take one
But you can only carry over.
half that, 2 weeks, a week
But
and a
that
half.
first year, so currently, the first year people, the way the policy reads, they don't get basically any vacation, correct?
That's right.
Currently,
They get
yes.
zero.
So, I mean, the change we're making, the revision we're making is better than what it was.
But based on this, it's fiscal year.
Right, so,
So if I started in May,
mhm,
July 1, I get 1 week.
Automatically.
Right.
The
Boom.
way we're writing this, if a person was hired April 1st, they would serve their probationary period through June 30th.
Mhm.
They would have accrued 3 days,
yep,
and they'd be allowed to roll it over if with the department head's approval,
Yeah.
and they'd get 2 weeks, right
Yeah.
after 3 months of employment.
now that's,
Which that
I
works.
think that works.
Okay.
It's just if we started somebody in August.
In which case, they have more accrued days in the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So I get August,
They would have 11 days,
10, because the
10,
maximum is 10.
because maximum is 10.
But they would,
And then-
they would have to use it within the next 3 months,
right,
at least
Right.
those 2 weeks. If they,
because that would bring it over that 1.5 times, right?
well, they can only carry over.
But this allows them to at least use it at the end of the probationary period, so they'd have a lot
Correct,
of
so they
opportunity
could possibly
Yeah.
use
to
it.
use it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Well, you know,
the hard part is that,
But it's either that or you give them
right,
2 weeks when they're first hired, and then don't give them a second week until they're here 2 years. Or don't have anything until the 5th year, when you get 3 weeks. Yes, no? Is the only way that you get it so that they don't have extra than those 2 weeks if you started on a fiscal year versus doing it on a anniversary year. It's a pain in the ass.
mm-hmm.
Are we getting anywhere closer to get payroll where they're gonna actually like put this right on their pay stub and it's gonna be part of the?
We're
We had
working
a
on it.
meeting, Dennis and I had a meeting, it's gonna take several more meetings.
Okay, no, I just wanna know if it
I
was.
can guarantee that.
But it's also gonna be cooperation between the department head and the employee too, to make sure things
Must.
Mhm.
Department heads have been advised that they must
Yeah.
be tracking this stuff because it's coming. We'll see.
What, something that really kind of concerns me is we have, like June said, we have boards and committees
Mhm.
that have employees. Are they doing this or should someone else be in charge of those employees? I know,
that is.
that's a real concern.
Mhm.
Because we have a brand new one that just came on.
It's
But that
particularly
reports to her.
difficult with benefited employees. It's particularly difficult benefited, but when it's not a
Yeah.
benefited employee, it's not
It's not
as
as bad.
difficult. But with a benefited employee, yeah, it's challenging, very challenging. And sure, I mean, a career supervisor would be a better scenario. Mhm.
Right, I mean, I also know that's another budget item that we don't have.
So, you get 3 days, and then you get 2 weeks. If someone's hired here, they'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. They'd lose out on a month only. I just don't see a big, huge deal. I mean, I do. Someone's hired in July or August,
mm-hmm,
they could be shorted 2 days because they're only accruing in their first year of employment, they're only accruing 10 days. So they could be short of 2 days, up to 2 days, to 1 or 2 days. A person who's hired later in the year, you know, like I said, say April, if they're hired in April, they accrue 3 days, and then they'll get 2 weeks in July. It's to me, it's almost negligible. It's,
Because the other thing is too, is
just the
here
way
you're
the
calling
timing
it
falls.
continuous.
It's 2 days.
continuous service,
Yeah,
which then it has to be anniversary date, versus if it's given on the fiscal year, then it wouldn't be. Right?
yeah, so the weeks of vacation, you're right, that's on anniversary date, and that's on anniversary date now, isn't it?
No, fiscal year.
Oh, so we do it by fiscal year?
Well, it says here, it says beginning at the fiscal year based on the number
Got it.
completed. So,
Okay, so maybe we just need to,
and the way we've done it in the past is that if a person has put in X amount, it's usually all departments except for one, at one point, was anniversary date. So at the beginning of the fiscal year, necessarily they don't get it, they get it during the year, in that year, so it's,
Mhm. Okay, so then why don't we, to
No.
make things consistent, if it's gonna go fiscal year,
Not all at once either, correct?
what?
When you say you put it in the anniversary, would it be prorated, say like their vacation and sick time during that year?
Well, no, the first year
Correct.
is when they would get, well, now it would be 2 weeks automatically.
But I'm talking in the fiscal year, can they immediately take that all at once?
Currently, yes.
Okay.
so then that sentence then, why don't we say vacation leave shall accrue at the beginning of the fiscal year, you know, for existing employees, or for current employees, or for whatever, after the first year
Yeah.
of service. Vacation leave shall accrue at the beginning of the fiscal year based on the number of complete years of active employment. Well, I'm sorry, vacation leave is, I've got a terrible, hold on
Can't we
here.
just copy somebody else's?
But this company probably wrote everybody else's too.
God, that's so confusing.
Vacation,
I would
so,
want
okay, so with the
no
sentence that
shoes.
currently reads vacation pay is granted, gotta change that to leave as well. Vacation leave is granted to all no, we'll say vacation leave shall accrue at the beginning of the fiscal year. So where it says now vacation pay is granted to all full-time employees for each vacation year, calendar year completed in accordance with the following plan.
The
I
only
think
time
what we would,
only time it really matters is the 1 year that you get your increase. Is the only time it's after the first year.
so we'd say after the first year of service. After the first. We're just talking about fiscal year.
First year, I would just say is through June 30th. And then if they're granted,
After,
'cause if you do it on the anniversary date the first year, then that would give them, they'd have to wait at least 1 full year before they get the 2 weeks.
all right, so you could say at the beginning of the fiscal year following the employee's first year of, following the employee's date of hire.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, yeah, that
And
was,
then after that, it would be the first, the fiscal year, and then it really doesn't matter after that.
Mhm.
following the employee's date of hire.
Until we try it.
Then we would say vacation leave shall accrue.
So everybody gets everything right up front, huh?
What?
Their vacation time. So for instance, like,
Well, no, here you don't get any for the first year, so you have to put in your whole year of service before you get your 1 week.
right, but okay, if you've already been here, so I've been here with the current information, I've been here 7 years. So on July 1st, after 7 years, I get 3 weeks.
That's always been a question, but yes.
So they don't accrue it like on a weekly basis,
No,
so that.
no,
By yearly service.
no. And we have had people who have left in July.
July 15th and got their 3 weeks? Wow,
Plus anything they rolled over.
Yep.
wow,
So they wait till July,
wow.
which I'm sure people that read the
They have.
rules and regulations are smart enough to do that.
Okay, so if we went to a per hour paid accrual each week, that would be a takeaway. I mean, that would be a big change. I shouldn't say a takeaway, but, because ultimately they get the same time, but they'd have to, it would
Accrue it.
accrue it on a
But
weekly
But here,
basis.
just keep in mind that it's that you've earned it.
July 1st.
So you put in
Oh.
the time, so you've earned that time as of July 1.
Because you were waiting the first year.
Correct.
With nothing.
So you've put in your 1 year
Right,
to be granted 1 week's vacation.
yeah,
So in the old ones, you were owed it. So technically,
Oh,
I
so-
could leave on July 1 and I get my time. But if I leave before that, technically I don't get any time at all.
but that all came
As
with
of
the
right now.
whole thing that you didn't get anything that first year.
Hmm.
Because you're not getting anything until that first fiscal year.
Right, right, but,
Well,
Oh.
well, that kind of,
So with
I'm-
this,
I'm like-
you've earned it. It's not that you're just being granted the time. You've actually earned it from all the other years that you've worked.
right,
That's why you're getting it then, is because you've already banked it, or you've
Yeah.
earned it. Or
yeah.
but it's just, yeah, it's not great for getting hires in.
Exactly.
Do you really have to wait a year?
Right, right.
No, and I
right.
get that.
How about?
That's why I really like the idea that you're earning it as you're going that first year. So at
Right.
least-
Right.
So why not do that in subsequent years? Or is that's a big change? That's a big change.
That would, that's what I was kind of asking, because I'm thinking of,
Somebody has been here for
some
10 to
payroll
15
systems
years.
can accommodate
Yeah.
a process, like ours can accommodate a process where it adds up, like, for instance, a person that from 1 to 5 years would accrue, a full-time person would accrue 1.53 hours per week. And they would accrue, anybody, whether you're part-time or full-time, you accrue .03846 hours of accrued time per each hour paid. So sometimes you can find systems that will accommodate that type of calculation. Like per hour paid, you're gonna accrue this much vacation. Per hour paid, you're gonna accrue this much vacation. So for instance, like the 20-year
Yeah, you
people.
definitely have to have a software that handles that.
Right, right.
Because it's hard enough trying to figure out what the long-term sick is for most people.
Oh, that's right.
And that we have to do
Yeah.
manually, and they get a half a day per month
Well,
and
if I don't have to
Oh,
software.
okay.
forever
Yeah,
that they've been here, so you have to go by the month and by when they hired in.
but that would be a big change, having people accrue versus just getting their time on.
Yeah,
the-
this would be way easier.
Okay, all right.
Wow. So, I'm just trying to look for some maybe final language here, I hope. At the beginning of the fiscal year following the employee's date of hire,
Mhm.
vacation leave shall accrue based on this, I'm looking at our old plan, based on the number of complete years of active employment with the town.
Mm-hmm,
Does that sound?
yeah.
Or is it granted?
They have to,
We can't say it exactly like
You
this
have to
because of
earn
the
it
whole 1 year of
somehow.
service.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's gone.
you can't just get it. You
Mhm.
have to earn it.
shall accrue. This one says, does this make any sense, or does it not? Vacation leave shall accrue for each fiscal year completed in accordance with the following plan? Or should it be for each?
Oh, I see, you're right, you're on that second, yeah, that second sentence.
For each vacation year completed? That doesn't make any sense either. All right, I say, at the beginning of the fiscal year following the employee's date of hire, vacation leave shall accrue for each year completed in accordance with the following plan. I think it's close. It's,
Yeah.
oh, it seems close. Does it make sense? Does it?
Okay, one more time.
At the beginning of the fiscal year following the employee's date of hire, vacation leave shall accrue for each year completed in accordance with the following plan. For each,
I think that would still leave it up to, do we give it to them July 1 or do we wait till their anniversary date?
should we say for each fiscal year?
But then, if we wait to the anniversary date, are we gonna give them the full 2 weeks? Or are we gonna say, oh no, the rest of the year you get prorated as well?
Until you've done a
No, because
year.
he's earned it. See, that's what you're earning it that first. Oh, you're not now.
That's, well, this
Right.
one would say in the first year, you're earning it as you go.
Right.
Right. But then July 1st comes.
Then you're not earning it
Then I
as you
get,
go.
then I get 2 weeks.
Mm.
Right. Yeah, I see what you're saying, yeah.
We could earn as you go, but then there comes a situation
Yeah.
where someone might want to take a vacation in the summer and not take one the following spring,
Mhm.
and they've got nothing. They've got nothing.
Then they have.
And then maybe we'd have to put in a provision about borrowing against future accruals.
No.
See?
Nope.
See? Yeah, yeah,
Right, no,
see?
no, no, I don't wanna,
That's problematic.
Because
So-
if they leave between now and then, they'd have to pay us back.
And that is against wage laws, so.
I think by us permitting the accrual during that very first year, granted, they may carry over some into the new fiscal year, but the only difference, June, is that they accrued some, but now they're getting what they earned, so to speak. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm fine with it. It's just, I'm just thinking.
yeah.
Sorry.
But then they'd be on this level playing field with everybody else in terms of the new 2 weeks that they get on July 1st.
I know in the private sector, and it's common having that one pot of money for everything.
Yeah.
When do you, in your place of employment, when do you get that pot of money?
We don't. You accrue on a weekly basis,
Oh,
period.
so you accrue as you go?
Yep,
Because I
yep.
know, what is it, I think two of our select board members,
Yeah.
I think both Peg and Scott actually
Yeah.
said that they get the pot of money. And
Really?
they do what they.
Yeah, no, we,
Or get the time, what do they call
What's
it?
it called?
General time, general leave?
It's just time.
It's just leave.
PTO, yeah,
Paid time
PTO,
off.
or
Paid time
earned
off.
time, we call
Yep.
ours earned time, and so we accrue on a weekly basis. Our holidays are completely separate, they're not included in our earned time, but, so, based on our hours paid, we accrue .076 per hours paid, or whatever.
So what
And-
does that come out to, ish? I'm just out, because I
I copied the charts to
husband's
send to
new
you guys, and I
company.
forgot.
just started that.
Like, because I'm over 35 years, so I get the 5 weeks.
Mhm.
So mine, I tend to just look at mine. I didn't bring a copy of my thing.
Well, no, because I'm just thinking of that, because I don't know if that would be easier or harder than, and what would be more.
So every week on our paycheck stub, we see current accruals And I'm having to go over this with everybody that's calling into the Benefits Contact Center right now that I'm working with. And so we have current accruals, and you're permitted to have up to 2 weeks of your scheduled hours in your current accruals. But you, and that gets carried over to a bank, and then you start anew for the new calendar year. You start accruing new. In your carryover bank, which is those, so say I'm a 40-hour person, my 80, and I still had 80 hours on the books, I can't have any more than 80 hours on the books. If I do, I lose it. So a lot of people take the care time or earned time payout.
Yeah.
So we can cash in some of our time, and so that 80 hours goes into what we call a carryover bank. We're not permitted in our carryover bank to have more than, I think I did it out today, and it was like 12 weeks of time in that carryover bank. But a lot of people use that for, you know, FMLA, they need surgeries coming up or whatever, so that 12 weeks can get used up pretty fast. And but the carryover bank cannot go over a certain amount. But for the most part, we accrue on a weekly basis. We start from the date of employment. We can use it after 90 days. And it just keeps on accruing.
I guess that would be fine if we had some sort of software, but right now
Yeah,
it's not.
right.
So do you want to leave this as is for now, and
Yep.
then as we tidy it up, we can
Right.
think about it?
Yep.
So it currently reads, at the beginning of the fiscal year following the employee's date of hire, vacation leave shall accrue for each year completed in accordance with the following
Yeah.
plan. And we could say fiscal year completed, I don't.
And then kind of think out some scenarios too while we're doing it, and that way we're not feeling like, oh, we're giving away too much here by having them accrue and then them get the 2 weeks. You know, because I'm glad I asked that question about the 2 weeks that everybody gets up front at the beginning of the year. Well, it's because each of those people, when they were hired, they didn't get anything that first year of their employment. So that's why they get that 2 weeks. But now we're bringing people
So
on.
technically, if we did it on the anniversary date, it would be the same.
It would solve it. It would solve it, but we'd have to track everyone's anniversary.
Right.
Which technically, right now, people are supposed to anyway. Because, well, that's what a lot of the other benefits are based on, is the start date. So, because I know some departments right now, they don't get their pay raises until their anniversary date. So, most departments.
Police, right?
Police and fire.
So, let me ask something real quick, June. How many employees do we have? Half that have been over here for 10 years or longer? Off the top of your head?
10 years, I don't know. But there's very few that are
20.
15.
That-
15 and up. I think there's only 2 over 20 now.
All right, we can come back to this
Yeah, we
one
can.
and-
Yeah,
and
let's,
Yeah, we
I'm
had
gonna
enough
just
fun on
make
that
a comment
for
here
that
and
one.
return to this at some point.
yeah, but that gives us a little time to kind of think about it too.
Okay. So what page we gonna jump to?
So are we gonna
100?
leave that, are we gonna leave employees who, the other language that's in here, where is it? Or you wanna move on to something, or are we gonna still keep that, work on that vacation entitlement? The employees who leave the town's employee for military service and return to the town's shall be given credit towards their vacation for the time in service. That just means that we're gonna still go by the same,
The old one was whenever employment is terminated by dismissal or whatever, right? Or by retirement, or entering into the military, the employee shall be paid an amount equal to the vacation allowance as earned.
no. So this is about a person who leave the town's employ for military service and then return. I think if you terminate, you terminate. Don't you agree? I mean,
Do we keep them as, if they leave for military, do they?
Do they-
Yeah, a lot of them
Do
leave
they go
and
on a
come
leave?
back. So like, we have a couple that
Yeah, but,
had to go out,
yeah, but they didn't leave the town's employee.
not completely, no.
I think employees who go on a leave of absence
Mhm.
for
But if-
military
If they do
service.
military service, in the past, we had one person do that.
Yeah,
If their military pay is more than what they made here, they just do their military pay. If our pay here, we have to pay the difference.
yeah.
But that's only if they leave and then they come back. So if they've just
Right.
done their, is it the,
If they're on a
Go.
leave of absence, they would still get the same amount. So nothing would change if they're on a leave of absence in a military leave, right?
Mm-mm.
And they'd come back and they'd still have the same date of hire, they'd still accrue the same,
yeah, 'cause I don't think
Vacation.
legally we can
right, on a,
deduct that.
if they're on
No,
a
you
leave.
can't, because he's still an employee while
Right.
he's a government employee.
If they're coming back.
Yeah, yeah. If they, but this one talks about employees who leave the town's employ and then return at the completion of, so say they leave and they come back
6 months.
3 or
later.
4 years later, they wouldn't, they shall be
But then they would
given
be
credit
terminated.
towards vacation for their time in service. I don't know if we want to have that, do we?
No. And what
Well,
if- Yeah, so what if they do a tour?
mostly-
What if they do a 3-year tour?
Right.
4 years?
Right.
You know,
Right,
they're given credit toward vacation?
yeah, no,
And hours and sick time and
Right.
everything else.
yeah. No,
I don't think they're given, I don't think there's vacation accrual.
right.
I think they're just adding years to their years of service here. I get why they're doing it,
Right.
but I don't,
Are they referring to more of like a National Guard where they have to do so many weeks? Or
No.
are they referring to
this
actual?
looks like it would be long-term.
No, they're
Okay.
leaving. They've terminated their employment.
Do they
Well,
have
if
to
they
get
terminate-
Which one are you
terminated?
looking at, old or new?
I'm looking at page 30 of 100, the new, but it's for Margaret with typing all her changes. It's not on page 30. I'm looking at the May 4th.
Yeah, see, mine's on actually page 29, but I'm in the same
Oh,
spot as
okay,
you.
all right. So it's employees who leave the town's employ for military and return to the towns at the completion of that service shall be given credit towards vacation for the time in service.
I'm thinking that is if they leave to go out on the guard and then come back.
Why would
But
they
that's
leave the
only
town's
a ch-
employ then?
Because if they have to be deployed to do their time. There's two different things, scenarios here as far as the military, I think, goes.
But by law, if they get deployed, you still have to have a job opening for them when they return, correct?
Wait a minute, it's in here.
You do, there's the new USERRA law.
Yeah.
Roger, do you have any information on that?
I do not.
Okay.
Because we just
You just woke
recently
him
had
up.
to do it.
Oh, sorry.
I was waiting for him to pipe in and he wasn't, so I figured he didn't have the info.
This is February, this is May.
Page 25 of the old policies.
So,
Where's the new one?
Oh, that's about military leave.
But I thought,
Okay, so military leave shall be administered in accordance with the blah, 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 the Veterans Reemployment Act and in compliance with their state and federal statutes such as.
that's a good question for Jim to ask us. We should ask him.
Except I'm pretty sure, my friend that owns her own company, we did talk about this once, and she is doing what June just said. If their pay is,
because that's what we
Yeah.
were told we had to do
Right.
when the last
Yeah.
person left.
if their
Yeah.
pay is less than,
We have to make up the difference.
yes.
This is, oh, thank you, Jim, this is governed by USERRA. So, USERRA preempts conflicting state laws and provides that any person who leaves a position in the employ of a state or political subdivision thereof to serve in the armed forces is entitled to certain rights and benefits, and provides in part, person who is reemployed under this chapter is entitled to the seniority and other rights and benefits determined by seniority that the person had on the date of commencement of service in the uniformed services, plus the additional seniority and rights benefits that such person would have had attained if the person had remained continuously employed. So this is directly related to the federal statute.
There is actually a section in this.
Oh, there
Mine's
is.
35,
Okay.
yours might be 36.
Thank you, June.
It says military.
So why do we not?
We have to leave it.
Yeah.
Right, we have to leave it.
That
We should
makes-
probably reference you, Sarah.
this-
If it's on the, wait a minute now, if it's on a page down, military, that it's the act, maybe we shouldn't have it in both places, is what I'm saying.
I see.
It's section L of
Yeah, I see that now.
something else.
Okay.
36, so it's probably like 39 on you, page
I'm
39.
on 35.
But she's typing all these changes.
Yeah. Right.
Well, I found it. It's on page 38.
Okay, see, I was close. But I'm just saying, should we have it in both? Would we be better off to get rid of it here and have it just in the one
Just one
spot?
spot.
Or maybe just put in here referred to.
Either, just don't have it both.
Yeah, I don't think the wordage should be in both places.
Right, I don't like to have things,
Yeah, you could do a simple reference right there to say, vacation, whatever it says there in that vacation section shall be in accordance with all federal and state statutes.
exactly.
Mhm. That's good.
Don't
Yeah,
have
because
it.
in our old one, we have a long-term military service and then a short-term,
Yeah, it's,
which I think it has to do with this versus they're leaving to go into the military.
Okay, so employees who
Good.
leave the town's employee for military service, or we shall say the town, vacation accrual and usage under this section shall comply with all federal and state laws.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Oh,
I had my first one the other day that I had to look up some stuff on that, and it was mainly about return to work. So a person who's returning from military service, we require that they have a full physical through employee health upon return from service, which we hadn't had one, so it was interesting.
so I just, UTES, so I wrote vacation accrual and usage for employees who leave the town's employee for military service and return thereafter shall be in accordance with all federal and state statutes.
perfect.
Completion of such service.
And in that same B1, vacation entitlement, the next paragraph was, supervisors will make every effort to allow employees to take their vacation when they wish. However, the supervisor reserves the right to deny vacation for a specific period if it is not deemed to be in the best interest of the town.
I'm
When
just
the-
gonna throw this out there as an example, would be in the middle of a snowstorm.
Yeah,
Correct.
that's a good example.
Would be what, June?
In the middle of a snowstorm.
Oh, right.
Have we had that?
When an employee requests vacation leave, the supervisor and/or appointing authority will approve vacation requests for such time that best serves the public's interest.
Well, I'd say the department's needs and the public interest.
Right, yep. Department needs.
Okay, I want to get a brownie.
They're good.
I need sugar.
That would take a lot just to ask that question, huh?
Hmm?
That would take a lot just to ask that question. Wow.
Well, I mean, it could be done. It's just you can't do it at a last minute thing.
Right. Employees who resign or retire in good standing will receive compensation equivalent to earned vacation allowance, provided they have been in the continuous service of the town for 6 months. We changed that to 90 days.
90 days.
Yep,
Oops. Okay, where are we? Okay, 90 days, for 90 days.
Resigning in that one.
yep. An employee cannot receive pay in lieu of taking vacation time unless the employee is retiring or resigning from their position. Is that correct?
Cannot receive pay in lieu of taking, yep, that is correct.
Okay, great. The town administrator has the authority to provide additional vacation to an employee as part of an onboarding or a retention package. The town administrator also has the authority to allow employees to carry over vacation balances as requested in writing prior to the employee's anniversary date on a case-by-case basis. And that may, as we well know, that may still come into play.
God.
Hopefully not, Margaret.
Who would have thought?
I know, but hey, you know, if that's what it takes to bring people on board, we certainly understand. Creditable service for prior experience. New employees of the town who have prior full-time or part-time employment experience that is directly relevant and related to the job at the town may be entitled to receive creditable service time. I'm not sure we had an issue with this before.
You did.
Yep.
And,
That's in this last section of the current
yep. It says,
Actually, we've
credit
done this
towards seniority
a number of-
benefits.
yep, on page 39. All time earned as a regular employee shall be credited towards the employee's term of service. All time not worked as a regular employee, i.e. temporary, seasonal calls shall not be credited. So if we're not going to credit the temporary, seasonal, or call, why would we credit their experience, their jobs at another town?
Yeah.
Vacation. So if I leave here
Mm-hmm,
and I have 5 weeks vacation and I go to another town,
yep,
The state does that.
can
But-
I use credited years for Berlin to go to, I'll use
right,
Hudson?
right.
So I can have close to, if not close, or exactly what I had for vacation here.
Right.
Because we actually have a couple of employees here that was done with.
As long as wherever with that town they're going, it
I
accepts
don't,
that.
I don't agree with
I
that.
don't
No.
So
have an opinion.
the state does that for some of their collective bargaining units.
Mm-hmm,
They say, if you were a contracted employee prior to coming to the state,
mm-hmm,
we will honor the vacation leave that you accrued. But it doesn't say if you were just,
right,
so, I mean, if it wasn't honored here, who have prior full-time or part-time employment that is directly related to the may be entitled to receive creditable service time.
Yeah, because it doesn't say
Where's
anything
it
about
defined?
in the town. It just.
Yeah.
So, and
employment
that
experience.
again, that would be even, if we're not crediting service time for people who have worked here in our own town on a call basis, or a seasonal basis, or a temporary basis, if we're not even gonna honor that time in our own town, why would we
Honor
honor
it.
that time in another town?
Or somebody that comes from someplace that has a lot more money and gives a lot more,
Benefits.
So you
Right,
want to strike that for now?
yes.
yes.
I can,
Okay.
you just can
We're on
come
to
up with,
personally. How do you like that?
you can come up with too many scenarios there.
Oh, there's lots of them.
I can't believe a town would honor that, but it's way to, it's
But
one
again,
way
it
to
depends.
persuade you to go there,
Right.
you know what I mean?
But it's,
It's hard because even my employer, so there's 5 different hospitals, and all of us, everybody's stuff is different.
Different, each hospital. Wow.
Even the price of the health insurance is different than the price of the dental, is different than the.
Wow.
That's confusing.
Right, and we're working towards, so it's like we're competing with one another, and that's very difficult, you know, because you have all these hospitals in the same system.
Correct.
We're getting there, we're getting closer, but it's baby steps in terms of, because you got union contracts here, union contracts
All
there,
different.
all over the place. So it's really a lot of work, and it's, you know,
But
Now, credited years, though, could affect the way that you're hired as far as where you go, as far as the pay goes, right?
Well,
right,
it's like
you always
any-
take somebody's experience at their former job
It's
into
like on a private
consideration.
sector, same thing. You're gonna go with the experience or the non-experience, depends on what you need at that particular time.
Right, and the rate that you're gonna offer that person.
But that
Chances
wouldn't
are, you're not gonna bring in somebody who's worked in the town of Northborough for 5 years as such and such. You're not gonna bring them in as a step 1 here. You're gonna bring them in probably close to a step 5, step 6 if they've got the experience.
Yes.
All right, so personal leave.
Yep,
This calls for 3. We currently only have 1, which is highly unusual in the world of municipalities. And so I don't know if we,
let's see.
what page are we on now? I lost track.
31.
I thought we got over that. God.
Okay,
So close.
personally.
We're getting there. We're getting close to all those appendixes.
What page is personal leave on in our old
20.
20? Okay, thanks. I didn't go back far enough. Oh, there we are, okay. Okay.
we've been here for 2 hours already?
Yeah.
Yep.
Keep eating.
Well, I'm glad. Well, I'm glad, at least we started earlier, and you guys aren't gonna have to be here real
It was a
I
good
kinda
day,
feel
a
awake
good day that I had surgery, otherwise I wouldn't be here.
Because of what you're eating.
All right.
So full-time employees are granted 3 days of pay available. Personal leave is different from vacation in that in the first year of employment, person only granted in accordance with 1 day is available for use as of the date of hire. 1 day
No,
addition will accrue if the employee is working in the first pay period after completing 6 months of service.
Oh, we'll have to define what our personal day
Well,
is.
I've got my notes here.
Oh, my God.
on a personal day, I do not have to schedule that. Because that makes no sense. Yeah, I can just say, all right, I'm gonna take a personal day today. Usually when you call
My
in,
water heater
you
broke. I
call-
need to take a personal
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
To me,
my
that's like a
basement
sick day.
flooded.
Your kid's home
My
sick.
basement flooded. I
No,
need to take a
have
personal
go
day.
to the doctors or whatever.
I couldn't do that. That would be me, but that's me personally.
Well, it's great if you can schedule a personal day.
Yes, but I mean, you need to me, you're calling in, that's me. You're calling in and you're taking a personal leave. That should be a sick day.
No, but see, sick days are different. Just
Because
saying.
you're sick.
But you're calling in.
You could call them all personal days.
I think Deck used to actually give us one.
Oh, my goodness.
One.
Delicious brownie.
I was gonna say, we have one.
It was delicious,
They're
June.
sweet.
Excellent,
We'll let
excellent.
him know.
Oh, he's such a good baker. All right.
Okay, forget that idea then. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut so we can breeze through this.
No. That's why you're here.
Well, I can think of a couple of changes to this.
Okay,
First of all right, besides the issue of days. Full-time, okay, so we could say full-time employees are granted. I do think that 2 personal days is more reasonable than 1 personal day, but
Okay.
I'll defer to you, but I do think that's getting a little closer to what
Okay.
municipalities use as a standard. But instead of days, it says full-time
Hours.
employees are, 40-hour-per-week employees are granted 16 hours of paid personal leave per fiscal year.
Oh,
Get
I
down-
like that.
That's so
Better?
yep,
definite.
yep.
We're gonna
Yeah.
let you
Okay,
word
so-
everything.
What
No!
What happens if I work 10-hour days?
Doesn't matter.
What if I
40-hour
work-
per week,
Get 16 hours.
it's not days. This is
hours.
not
You get
days.
16
And we'll
hours.
allow it to be taken in 4-hour increments. How's that?
I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah.
Okay, and
Yeah.
now I have to just remember what I said. Okay. 40
You should have been typing faster.
hour per week employees are granted, okay, no, I'm sorry. 16 hours. There we go.
No, you
16
don't have an
hours
issue.
of paid personal leave per fiscal year.
So prorated, it'll be prorated.
Yes, and personal leave is prorated
You're gonna write all this down.
It is.
Is
It's all over
prorated.
little stickers everywhere.
for part-time employees.
Yeah.
You can't wait till you get one book, huh? With all this.
I can't wait for 7 years and I'm out of here.
Personal leave. Okay. I would say, okay. What are you saying, June?
She's saying 7
Come
years.
on, I don't want to hear it.
She's saying 7 years. This is kind of scary.
7 years. 40
So we
hour-
better have it done by then?
16 hours.
Won't be my problem then.
Of paid personal leave per fiscal year available as of July 1st. Personal leave is different from vacation leave. It does not require advanced approval and is offered to allow employees time to handle personal matters. Personal, rather than personal days.
Personal time.
leave.
Or personal leave.
Yep. Shall not accrue, or does not accrue, and may not be carried, accrue, may not be carried over to the following fiscal year,
Yeah.
and is not compensable upon termination. There, da-da-da-da.
Resignation or
Or,
retirement.
I like that,
Yeah.
that's good, okay. Well, that might have been easier. Now, let's see if we missed anything. Personal leave does not accrue, maybe, and is allowed to take, is allowed to be taken in,
For,
does it matter? I mean, do you want to do incremental, or
Yeah, I
does it
think,
matter?
I think maybe taking a 4-hour.
I don't think it really matters, but
but some guys will take a half a day,
I,
right?
my only thing with that is that, like I said, we have people who work 6 hours, we have people
Yeah.
that work 4 hours, we
So-
have some that work 7, some that
So
work 10.
taking it in 4-hour increments has a different impact on someone who works fewer hours than it does.
Because I'm just thinking on the 40-hour employees, because we have either you work 8, 12, or 10. 12 doesn't count anymore.
Yeah, I like doing,
I like doing the hours. The only thing is then we have to prorate it.
Yeah.
It's easy if you're working 20 hours, but now that we have the 37 and a half and we have the
Yeah.
36.
so you could take personal leave of 1 hour. It's,
Yeah. For us, it doesn't matter. It's the department head that's supposed to be tracking it.
And where it doesn't say days,
it's only hours now.
that's right, so they can use the hours.
Use the hours.
Let's make this easier. Let's just make Amy 40 hours, please.
It's not gonna matter
How's
at
that?
this point. It's not enough hours to do
I was trying to
everything we
help.
got, but yeah,
I was trying to help you.
I think 50 would be good.
Oh,
So do
Okay,
you
that's
think-
good. It looks
Yeah.
good to me, I think.
And do you
Good.
think that's reasonable if a person works a normal 10-hour shift or a 10-hour day?
They're
To
only,
only give them prorate, because it's pretty much prorated per se.
just because they work 4-hour, 10-hour days, they're still working
Still
40
40
hours a
hours.
week.
Right. So they can use 10 hours of their 16 hours that they get a year.
Yeah, they shouldn't be entitled to more hours of
Right.
personal leave because they work 4 days a week.
Right.
More
Yeah.
hours a day.
Yeah.
That's my
I
thought.
I
think it's
get what
fair.
you're
Yeah, I do
saying
too.
because somebody will say
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
I get where you're coming from. No,
Yeah.
I work 10
Mhm.
hours. I get 10 hours.
No, it's
Well, that's happening it's happening a
Too
lot,
lot.
Yeah.
so.
Well, they can get their
Um,
10 hours, but then they only have 6 left, so.
Now,
Correct.
are you going to do anything about the first year of employment, or is it,
Oh, I'm on the next page, hold on, I didn't see that.
Look at my brother scoping out that.
Oh,
I already have it.
what do we have in our current probationary period? Do we prohibit even personal days, use of personal?
Well,
I'm gonna find out. Introductory.
I think you
It
did.
just says all benefited eligible employees shall be entitled to one personal day per fiscal year.
Has this ever happened, probation period, and you had a death and bereavement?
That's a different,
That's different.
That's different, yeah, that's a different
But,
case.
I mean, most of the time, people have to be reminded that they actually have a personal day. Is usually how it happens. It's usually at the end of the year, us going, hey,
So if you don't use them, you lose them,
yeah.
right?
But, I
Okay.
mean, we try to remind people that they have them.
why?
And employees-
Wow, that's generous.
Yeah.
That's generous.
Or you got 4 hours left or something like that, or you go by days, June?
Well, it will be on the pay stubs now.
Okay.
In the first year of employment, personal days are only granted in accordance with the following schedule. 1 day is available for use as of the date of
Based
hire.
on 3. So they're pretty much prorating it the first year.
Okay, we can't say day.
Maybe they
No.
get
No,
See, that's where it's, yeah.
4 hours.
Personal
6
leave
hours.
is,
for full-time people, 8 hours and prorated.
yes, okay.
Part-time.
Personal, okay. For full-time, 40 hour per week. Eight hours is available for use at the day of.
I can see
Really,
why
is available, what, 8
things
hours
get confusing for you.
is
By
available
hour,
for use
by
as of the date of
day,
hire.
by Anniversary, by date of hire. That's why it's too bad you couldn't just set. Does your software set anything up for date of hire?
As of date of hire and one
Anniversary.
additional,
Supposedly
8
the new
additional hours.
payroll stuff does, but.
Additional hours will,
Our software is outdated.
it won't accrue, will be granted. Will not accrue, but be
So a new
granted,
hire gets 1.
No, they get 2.
will be granted upon satisfactory completion of the probationary period.
Love those words.
So
Is that, I mean, I'm confused about personal leave in probationary period. I'm trying to think, is that a standard thing?
See, this one here says it's granted the day of hire.
I know.
A lot of our
And then
old
one
stuff says that.
After 6 months. It would almost be nicer if you could do it after the probationary period. They get
Yeah.
1 day.
Yeah.
In the first year of employment,
As of the end of the 90-day.
yeah, they get their 2 days at the end of the, or the
But
60.
is this normal?
8 hours is available for use at the end of the 90-day probationary
Man, our old
period.
policies were all over the place, huh? God.
Some things say
No, it's
anniversary.
just they're outdated, that's all.
Well, my
They've never
question
been
is,
updated.
my question is whether the employee, I mean, she's obviously saying an employee should be granted a personal day during their probationary period. But, I mean, I don't recall ever,
Can we write it? You
I mean,
get
people have
one
needed
after?
time off,
I
but
mean,
I'm not sure
something
we
could
paid them.
happen in the first
Yeah.
90 days that they're here. They could have something come up.
Right, exactly, but have we paid them? That's the,
yeah,
You can take the time off, but you're not gonna
Yeah.
get paid.
right. That's what I,
And then you get one after your 90 or 2?
yeah,
I
you
don't-
get 8 hours.
Yeah.
We never used to have this much turnaround.
no, I know.
So it wasn't
Throw
a
them
big
a bone,
deal.
right?
Well, no,
Throw 'em a
I mean,
bone.
before it was, you didn't have the turnaround.
Turn around for what?
This many ins and outs in all the departments now.
Yeah.
Oh, turnover.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
So now we have people that come in and then leave and then come in. So
Right.
It's a quicker,
Right,
you know, most, way back when, they used to come in and stay at least 5
Right.
days. That was like short term.
right, right. Yep, you're right.
Because you figure, well, oh no, they don't get any.
So I think it should be 8 hours to be available after completing probationary.
In the first year of employment.
Because you did 90 days, right? Probation
Yeah.
versus
Yeah,
the
90
60.
days.
Yeah.
Okay, the first year of employment
Going
person
back to days again.
is,
Personal
Person-
hours are only granted.
okay,
Oh, is that work days or is
I
that?
had to say it.
granted.
Sorry, I've been laying down all day.
That's
I had to
okay,
stand
you're
up.
fine, Tom.
Because if something happens, seriously, for the number of employees, if
Tom,
something
when
happens
they
in that
did your
first
thing,
90
did you
days, they're gonna
have to have
call.
that heat stuff
And
put
someone's
in,
gonna
or
talk to them and
no?
at least say,
The water?
you know, go ahead,
The,
we
Yeah,
understand,
Yeah, we'll work
They
something
put
out.
but we're not gonna pay you
Like
or
boiling
make
water.
Like a
going on.
heated dye.
For the number of employees, it
And
shouldn't be
then-
a,
Hot.
It should
Yeah, oh,
it
wow.
shouldn't
Burning
be,
hot.
Really?
big deal.
Oh. Felt like somebody poured boiling water inside my hand.
Huh,
Oh,
Yeah, it was hot. Holy shit, I moved there. I went like this. He goes, don't move your hand. Oh, sorry.
Is this after it went in?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like somebody poured boiling water in
mhm,
there.
wow.
Have you had to die before?
No, I didn't die. I had
No,
died.
that's not what I, never mind.
I've already died once.
That's what the hot
That's
stuff
not-
was, it was a dye.
That's what I was trying to
Oh,
figure out.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is hot.
it's really hot.
Wow. I
So-
remember my mother saying something about it.
It's
Go
really
ahead.
hot.
Talk.
So I put in the first year of employment, personal leave is only granted in accordance with the following schedule. For 40-hour per week employees, 8 hours will be granted upon successful completion of the probationary period. Personal leave shall be granted on a prorated basis to part-time employees.
Great.
Ship it.
Will you give them a second date after 6 months?
I'm
Sorry.
No, after
No.
the probationary.
No, they'll get 1 day after the probationary period, because, yeah,
Yeah.
they'll get 1 day after the probationary period, which means they'll be gypped on
Possibly the
third.
first
3
year.
months. 3
depends.
months.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's their first year. I think we're
Okay.
okay.
Okay. I struck that sentence at the bottom, personal leave accrual will be prorated for part-time.
Yeah, that was excellent, Margaret. That was good.
Done.
Okay. Next up.
Okay.
Necessities. Oh, this is actually a good thing, because you know why? This is federal law. We don't have to worry about this one, I hope.
Right. Yep. Does it say that they... One of the things that I really, because I think the law states that the employee should try to give up to a certain kind of notice. So I want to just,
okay.
I'll look at that, because you hate to have anybody call in at the very last minute saying, I need to participate in school activities directly related to the educational advancement of my
Could
child.
we add somewhere in here that advance notice whenever possible?
Yeah,
Should be given?
that's, yes.
Something along that.
Because, yes,
Not
because
saying
that's,
they have to.
that's what
but-
the law says. It says something about if that notice should be given if at all possible.
Have you had to do that yet?
I haven't,
There's a
well,
lot of paperwork involved in
in
it.
the Small Necessities Leave Act, there's a lot in
Yes.
FMLA too.
And the
There's a lot.
FML is just about the same.
A total of 24 hours unpaid leave. So at the bottom paragraph then, employees should provide advanced,
Notice if possible.
Whenever possible.
Whenever possible, yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
Woo-hoo.
Yay.
Are we gonna turn to page 3 now?
We're getting there.
That's why Tommy's on this whole committee, you know.
He makes us smile.
It does, it makes it a little more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
Not always. Most of the time.
Sick leave.
Yes.
Okay, so there's that. Next up. Oh, gosh, oh, no.
Nope, well, let's not look at it that way. We'll have none
Well,
of
this is
that.
definitely flagged.
Yeah, sick leave, yep.
That may be a comeback.
There's LTS and S. Ugh, okay. All right, first sentence is okay.
Score.
That's a lot of sick time.
Now, in this new policy, is this it for sick time, or is there an additional long-term sick?
That's a great question. I bet you there's not a long-term
I'm not
sick.
seeing it.
I don't think there is either.
So, for us, currently,
So I do have a note here in the language here that what are we bringing over? Are we bringing over language in Chapter 18 on page 23 of the old policy?
Yeah, I got a couple of flags on this page
Okay.
here.
I have many.
Yeah, you do, yes, okay, so you start. So first of all, full-time employees, I mean, are we gonna keep long-term sick or are we not going to keep long-term sick?
Well, it looks like right now, the new policy giving up to 120 days, and we're pretending it's an 8-hour day. We only allow up to 90 days.
Yeah,
But we allow 10 days per year. And if
What-
it's not used, you can roll it into long-term, and that's how you get up to the 90 days.
What does the law say?
There is no law,
Have to-
there is no law.
There's no law on that?
No.
We have to give sick leave now, but it doesn't have anything to do per se with this, because we're way over and above what the
Right,
law says.
yeah.
What, okay,
Yeah.
but the state doesn't have a guideline or anything that they want
Well,
you
the
to
state
go
has
by.
mass paid
Yes.
family leave, but these guys don't. You
Yes.
guys don't, you're exempt from it, right? If you want to be.
Because I
or-
think because of this.
so why not? Okay, first of all, we gotta switch days to hours,
Yep,
but why not change? I mean, so long-term sick is really good, but it requires it has an administrative burden attached to it, I think. If we did something straight up like this for employees,
Mhm.
up to 90 days, it would be more streamlined.
Now, do you bank these hours? Do employees bank these hours?
They're banked, but if you leave, you don't get them.
That's
Right.
right. And
yep, same here.
Yes.
So if you don't use them, they're just there.
Mhm.
But scenario, most honest people use them if they're very sick.
Really sick.
Mhm.
Correct. And that's
Yeah.
what they're basically
But-
was set up for. Am I right or
Yeah.
wrong, Claire?
In
Was
the
it
old
basi-
days.
In the old days, it was basically set up for if you got cancer or something like that.
Well, for the long term.
Yes.
Right.
Or if you went out on maternity leave,
Right.
or if you had to take care of a,
So
sick
our
family member.
organizations do not permit anybody to use unused sick time to care for another person. Do
you
not.
have no family sick? No.
No.
No, they go out on the FMLA, right?
Right, but you
But
cannot, you can
that's
use your
what-
earned time, but you cannot use your sick
Yeah,
time. Your
and-
sick time you can only use for yourself.
Mm.
Same with your short-term disability, same with your long-term disability.
Do we
It's
have
only to
a
care for your
short-term?
own personal,
the
serious health
short term
condition.
is 10 days or 2
I would
weeks
love for this to be
per year.
Yeah,
Oh,
I,
love it.
Now, currently, we still have one employee who still gets a buyback, where if you don't use it, you get a check at the end of the year. The police,
They get it.
they get it. It's in the contract, it's in the contract.
They can see my phone.
So, before, people used to not use it and get a check. Not everybody, there were a number of them that use it anyway. But then they had put it in so that we had the long-term also, so if you didn't use it, you could roll it over.
Yep.
And after 90 days, you just lose it.
No, basically, who pays for this? The town?
Mhm.
Not the employee?
I think Margaret's right, though. We need to streamline it. Make it,
But the problem with streamlining it, when they get, if it's not designated as regular sick leave or long-term sick leave, that means everybody get paid out for when they terminate employment.
No, we wouldn't be looking to for any kind of payout.
Oh, okay, good,
It would
okay.
be,
I
you
was
just
gonna
accrue
say-
to this
Yeah, we
level,
don't have
that's it. You don't,
Yeah,
you
okay.
leave without using
120
it, you
days and
leave it on
that's
the
it.
table.
Yeah,
But, and again, I mean, we could tweak it to be 90 days. Now, I'm trying to think of all the, there's negatives too. First of all, our long-term sick leave does require a physician certificate. So
Yeah.
maybe we could work something in here to require that for
Well,
any use of sick leave over 10 days in
I
a
was
year.
gonna say over an extended day. I wanna say in hours too, there's something in here where at one time, maybe it's not here anymore, 5 days of absent, you have to have a doctor's note. Now,
5 days.
Now, that's what it is here.
mm-hmm,
If you're sick, if you have the flu, the doctors don't want you coming in anyway, so you don't necessarily get a doctor's note. So I
That's
don't
right,
know
yeah.
if there's, especially now with COVID, it's not.
right.
Ours is written 2 days, third day must have a doctor's
That's the way this
note.
used to be, now it went up to the 5 days.
5 days. you can
Where
take
are
a-
we at?
You could be in
Which
Aruba
paragraph are we on?
and come back
18.
from a,
Oh,
with a
sorry,
doctor's note.
18.4.
I'm sorry, think about
Got
it.
it. Thank you.
Leave on a Saturday? Next Saturday, you could be back here.
Yeah, we could probably reduce that.
But that, again, that comes back to that whole, do we need an actual doctor's note? Because you don't necessarily go to the doctors if you're out.
right.
Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Even if you really are sick?
Yeah. Yeah. So what if we looked at doing something like what Sandy has written here? Trim down, of course, the accrual per month is .83333. For 10 days in a year, so, a 40-hour week.
So how long would it take to accumulate then?
Yeah, how
10
long
years.
would it take?
Probably 5 years.
Wow. That is huge.
So that'd be 10 hours, is that what that would come out to? 10 hours a day? Right?
10 hours a day? Oh,
1.25 days per month. So technically that would, if it's based on an 8-hour day, it would be 10 hours a day.
Oh, so this
to-
awards 15 days a year, doesn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so we don't do that, we do 10.
Oh.
Okay. What if we did?
Well, that would take a long time.
So we reimburse employees
Also, it'd
if,
take 8 years to get.
at the end of, that were hired prior to 97, we reimburse them for sick days that they don't use
Yeah, there's only one.
every year. Wow.
Only one. One more.
Weren't you, you were before 1997?
Yeah, but then they put me on salary, so I lost that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
All right. My biggest question at this point is if we're gonna plug in hours, what do we put in for hours? 0.833 hours a month?
So are we thinking of combining that or not combining that?
Yeah.
Frankly, I
The
personally,
long
I'd
term-
love to, but I wanna, yeah, I would love to combine, but I need to know from you. To me, it just seems like
So how
such a
many-
headache managing.
Yep. So
So it would be per month.
4 hours per month, right? Half day a month accrual.
I'm sorry, it's after a certain hour, my brain is shutting down.
For now, I'm just plugging
So,
in where it says full-time
4
employees. on
hours
the-
per month times 12 months is 48 hours. And then we just have to figure out, 10 days of 8 hours is 80 hours, right? We're just doing full-time right now, right?
Mhm.
So
80 divided by
plus
12.
80 equals, so that's 128 hours a year. Divided by, what are we looking at? Divided by 52 weeks or
So
by
is that
12 months?
16 days.
Huh?
Would that be 16 days? No, a year.
If you did 1 day a month, to round it up, for full-time employees, it would be 12 days a year. And then you could do not to exceed a total of 90
But-
days.
But if you, well, I was just trying to figure out how many hours is that, so I can compare, is
Right.
what I was
Oh, I
thinking.
see. Oh, I
So
see.
10
Do you know what I
days
mean?
Yeah.
is 10 days is 80 hours,
So if I do
right?
the 1.25 times 8, which is 10, and then it would be times 12, right? So it'd be 120 hours per,
I've got 128. So.
per year.
Per year, because I was thinking that it's 8 hours,
So if you take 1.25
Times-
times 8,
8 hours time, I'm sorry,
10.
4 hours times 12.
Why do you-
Because it's a half a day per month for the long term, right?
Oh, I was trying to figure out what the new thing would be. Over here, you get a credit of 10 days, or 2 weeks, so it'd be 80 hours.
Right,
A
80
year.
plus the 4 times 12, which would be 48, that's where I get the 128. For the long term. 4 hours a month, half day per month. In addition to the, putting.
She's calculating long-term sick leave.
I'm
under 80.
confused on your numbers.
So I thought we
old.
were combining them.
You
Yeah.
get a half a day per month, so you get 6 days every year. A
No,
full-time
we
person.
don't get days at all, we get
No,
4 hours.
I'm talking here.
Okay, you
You've been here
two.
too
I'm
long.
Everybody go.
So I got,
I know.
so, no, did you not see the 128, or did you? The 80 for the 10 times 12, right? No.
Yeah, I don't know what numbers you're trying to.
I think the two of you are actually figuring out two different things.
I think so
I
too.
think so too.
I thought I was doing the accrual of sick leave, which is 10 days a year, right?
Also known as 80 hours.
80 hours.
Right?
And then I was adding to that long-term sick leave, a half day per month, which is 4 hours per month, which is 4 times 12.
Okay, she's
Okay.
combining long-term.
You're
and-
combining, there isn't a combine. So that's
Oh,
what I
I
was
thought
trying
that's
to.
what
No, the
Margaret
80
was
hours-
trying to
You
do.
cannot
Currently,
combine
we
them,
only
right?
have 80 hours per year. That's what I was trying to figure out, is how much, if we do with the new one, how many
Oh,
hours.
I'm only trying to roll it into one sick leave.
Right, but what I was trying to get at is if you have this, how much does that give you a year?
Oh, that's 15 days. The 1.25 days for each month of employment, isn't that 15?
Yeah, it comes
Okay.
out to more than what we're getting now.
Oh, yeah, so we
So
have to.
that's what I was trying to figure out, is that, okay, so it's not like you're cutting it,
Okay.
if that makes sense now, or not, I don't know.
So the question is, how many hours per month? No, I'm sorry, how many hours per month to equal 10 days?
If it was-
That's where I was coming up with the .83333.
Right.
So we gotta change days to hours, and we have to decide whether or not we want to
How did you
roll,
the 8.33?
oh, .8333 is 10, so if I did, it was 10 days divided by 12 months. Oh, so I'm sorry, no, 10 days it's not times, stop it. 10 divided by 12, .8333333. So it's almost a full day a month to equal 10 days in the end, yeah.
Oh, I see what you're doing, okay, you're doing it differently. Is that okay?
So aren't you?
Wait,
Very
yeah.
clear.
You're all doing it differently.
Oh, I was just trying to combine.
No, you were
I was
combining.
trying to combine the two.
You
Yeah,
both
that's-
were doing, I know what you were doing.
Well, all right, so would we be in agreement that we want to stick with the 90-day cap?
I think that's fair.
90-day cap,
Yeah.
90 times 8 equals 720 hours. Is that okay?
That's the maximum,
That would be your maximum accrual.
no matter who
In fact, that would be
it
your
is.
maximum accrual in long-term sick leave right now. Mhm.
Yeah.
Except that, you
So
know
90
something?
days is what, 12 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
when,
But June, we also have a long-term sick leave capped at 90
480.
plus the 10 current
So-
sick leave days.
Mhm.
Okay, so 100.
so I'm getting 480 as 40 times 12. 12 weeks is 90 days, right? Or no? No,
No.
12
3
weeks is
months.
84 days.
84, yeah.
So another 6 days beyond that, okay. So I'm getting 480 hours for 12 weeks.
So
The 720, where does that come from?
the 720 is
It's
actually
hours.
90 days times 8. 90 days times 8 hours a day, 720. But I was just mentioning to June, currently, employees have the maximum 90 days of long-term sick leave plus the 10 current days of regular sick leave.
So 90 days is calendar days? It's not like work days?
That's work days. That's work days. So,
But I'm,
okay, I'm,
no, I guess I'm lost because typically, you know, I don't know, 720 days. You gotta be
Hours.
kidding me. Hours, you gotta be kidding me. That's like, so 720,
Divided by,
but people
40.
don't work more than 40 hours a week.
just say 40.
It
That
comes
equals
out
what?
to almost, 4.5 months?
Right.
And our
Wow.
other policy said 120, right?
Yeah, but this one over here is 120 days.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So now we're giving them more.
no, no, we gotta pare this down. I think we gotta pare the 120 down. We,
This is this goes into 6 months.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's other municipalities average?
The
Sick leave
the
bank.
state new law, there's a new law in the state, but the municipalities choose not to go under it, requires an employer to protect a person's job for 6 months. 6 months, it's crazy.
So that's
and the
not,
paid sick
I
leave
should
is
say,
very, very,
I shouldn't
very
say 6
expensive
months,
for
I'm sorry,
employers.
20 weeks. So 20 weeks, we went from 12 to 20.
wow.
What kind of
So-
financial impact did that have?
Oh my God.
Crazy, huh?
Oh my God, we don't have anybody to work, because we've got over 1,300 people on leaves right now. And So even the people who go out for maternity leave, it used to be just 12 weeks. FMLA covered
Yeah.
12 weeks. Now, the state added a new bonding. So you get an additional 8 hours of 8 weeks of bonding. So you get 20 weeks off, and it's very, very difficult. And I think it's wonderful for the people going out on a leave, don't take me the wrong way, but in terms of backfilling and us having to
Yeah, cost you
try to find
twice.
staff is tough, so, anyway.
Well, our parents were.
So I understand where we're coming from with this, because you wanna try and be
Contracted
very
employees.
flexible with the employees, but at the same time, you gotta look out for.
Cost.
Yeah,
Oof.
That's crazy, though.
1, 2, 3, 4, full paragraph down. No, yeah. full. Contracted employees are not entitled to sick pay.
Oh, wow. Huh. All right,
all right.
This does cost the town a lot of money.
so,
Holy crap.
If you use it,
yeah,
Yeah.
use it.
it's, doesn't normally,
No.
No, but
We've had
I'm
a
just
couple of
saying.
instances
where we have.
recently.
Recently.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but,
Because they've added a
It's-
couple new things into it, correct? By law, like the mental health and the extra.
Usually it was
Yeah.
just based on.
So
if
the
someone
people
had
have to have
surgery or
saved all
something.
this up
They
in order
do.
to be able to use it, right?
Correct.
It's not something that the town pays,
No,
just
and you're,
because,
here we only get 6 days per year is
Mhm.
what's put into long-term, unless you want to carry over and bank any unused of the 10 days,
Mhm.
based on 8 hours.
So I frankly, I'd like to see, a shift from the level of benefit here over to here, but eliminate the whole long-term sick thing and try to
Okay.
find a streamlined way to do it. 'Cause
all
it's-
right,
you know what, June, it affects you and Dennis.
right,
More so than it does me.
yep,
So I need to know from you if it makes sense for you that we streamline it. As long as the benefit remains level.
I mean, to me, it's the same. It's not really any change in work.
Really?
Because it still has to be calculated, it still should be done every year, it still
Yeah.
needs to be carried. The
Yeah.
department head still needs to be responsible for tracking.
But if you're doing it in one bucket as opposed to two,
yep.
isn't it, might it be a little easier or no? And it's a 1-for-1. It's not like, oh, I'm adding a half a day here for this. I'm adding a half to this whole, or, I mean, I don't know. It's not,
I mean, it looks neater, but as far as actually having to do it,
it
I think
doesn't
it would
really.
probably be better to do it in the newer form, just because currently, the long-term part of this is not tracked by anybody but us on an as-needed basis. Which is really hard, because if you have any use of old long-term, carrying it is where it becomes an issue, because we've had people who have used it
Yeah,
and then come back, and now we have to try to remember who it is who used what and when, so we're keeping track of it because the department heads aren't.
This is going to, well, I'm thinking of payroll accruals too. To have this one category.
Then it would be on the pay
Yeah.
stubs,
right.
Yeah.
versus now, long-term is not.
No.
So if you were to combine the two of them, so it would be 128 hours divided by 12 hours, 12 months. And it would be, but again, Margaret, it's 10.6666666666. So 10.67 hours they'd accrue a month of, but that would be both buckets, June. So I don't know, whatever works for you guys in terms of administering. You guys are the one, you're the only one who can.
Well, based on this one, if it was an 8-hour person, it would be 10 hours a day, a month,
Right.
in the new one.
Oh, it'd be 10 hours a month in the new one?
Yep.
Oh, you mean what she's written
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
For the 100,
Okay.
If it's based on a person who's 8 hours a day. Now, the question would be is how do you calculate it on 4 days? Would it still be?
no, gotta do hours.
Yep, gotta do
But no, but
hours.
this is what I'm saying, is we have, how would you do this for a person who works 10 hours a day?
Doesn't
Same
matter.
thing.
It does here, because
Well,
it
yeah,
goes-
no, I know, we have to change it.
But that's what I'm saying though,
Yeah.
is that how would you would have to figure out an easy way to prorate this.
Yep.
So we need to do,
So if they're a 20-hour person, you do 0.5 of whatever the full-time person gets.
yeah. So if we do it by hours and we say, look, at any 40-hour-a-week person gets 10 days of sick leave a fiscal year. It's gonna be .8333333
Right.
hours a month.
Yep.
And then and this one doesn't cap it for the 10 days. This says not to exceed a total of accumulation of 120 days. So it would essentially be 10 days a month, 10 days a year,
Yep.
but it would roll. I'm sorry, I say 10 days a year, 120 hours a year.
Yep.
But it would roll up to however many, 720 hours total for 90 days. The first thing we need to do is change days to hours, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How many hours do you want to do a month? Do you want to do .83333, which is what we currently?
I still don't get where we're getting the 720.
Oh, the 7,
I just because.
If you take 90 days
Yep.
times 8,
yeah.
Right, but a person doesn't typically get paid for the weekends, for non-work days, so,
you're right.
Why
They
would-
get paid every week, they get 5 days.
right.
So 8 hours a day times 5 days a week is the 40 hours. Is that?
Right, so the 720, where does that come from?
If you take 90 days
Yep.
times 8,
So we're saying regardless, so you're not saying they can be out for 90 days, you're saying that,
yes, but 90 days based on an 8-hour day.
right, but you're saying 90 working days.
Correct.
I've never heard of that before, ever. So,
You don't get paid on the weekends.
right, 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 but the law, oh, you guys don't go by the law. The law, no, I don't.
Not
mean-
your law, our
I don't mean it that way. FMLA says 12 weeks or 90 days,
Yeah.
but you don't get every single day, so you can be
No,
out
but if
90
you're out
days.
for a week, you would get paid 5 days.
Right. So this permits them to stay out a lot longer than the 90 days.
Yes. Work days,
Right,
not as in 7 days a week, 5 days a week,
right. So like, because
I guess.
I know, I've just never heard of that before. 720 hours divided by 40, a full-time person.
That would be 18 weeks.
It's 18 weeks. And they can do this even though it's not for their own medical illness. They can do it if it's a family member. Wow. Huh. Although, I shouldn't say that because, again, the state being, you know.
Can't be paid sick leave, right?
Right, because the
Oh, yeah.
states just changed it, between California and Massachusetts, we're the only two states in the union that have that,
Mhm.
and it's 20 weeks.
Mhm.
And see, that's more than this.
Right, but the MPFMLA on, I think, the care of a seriously ill family member, you're not permitted to use your sick time. But, and I think you're only permitted 12 weeks on that instead of the 20. But this is, if it's your own medical illness, this is close to what the state says now, because they permit the 20 weeks.
So I can undo what I just did, but I just wrote, each full-time employee shall accumulate sick pay at the rate of .8333 hours for each month of employment, not to exceed a total accumulation of 720 hours. And then we can add to it the restrictions, like, but June, and I mentioned to June,
Yeah.
now I know there might be concerns about the total cap on this, but currently we have the 90 days
Yeah.
in long-term sick, plus we have 10 days of regular sick leave in each
Right.
fiscal year, so it's really 100.
Right.
Employees actually have to use their regular sick leave before they use long-term sick leave if they have a legitimate
Yeah. Yeah.
reason to use that.
Current.
Right.
Here, not so much.
No, not so much. So first of all,
But they can also get paid out for the short-term sick leave. And I don't see that in this new.
this one
No, it's
employee,
It's combined.
what's combined? Where?
So there is no short and long, it's all one in the
Right.
new one.
That's right.
So the hard part about that is you wouldn't be able to permit the payout, correct? Or no, you would? If you combine them, you can't.
I don't know how you'd want to work
Yeah,
that, but
yeah.
it would really suck if he loses that.
Right.
Just
Oh, I know, they're telling
So
me.
we could say not to, and then we could just add this little provision, employees hired prior to da-da-da-da may request the end of each fiscal year that all are part of unused
Yep,
sick leave for that fiscal year, if we specify that here, can be reimbursed to them at the rate of 1 day's pay for each unused sick day.
because you still get 120 every year.
You do, yeah.
Added.
120 hours a year.
Right.
Mhm. So again, we could say for each month of employment, not to exceed a total of 120 hours in a fiscal year and an overall accumulation of 720 hours. Now, because he's getting the sick leave buyback,
I would almost say we'd have to just grandfather this one,
yeah.
because
it's gonna
we have to
be-
do the same thing for the
yeah,
contract.
It's gonna
Well,
have to be an
as of this
exception. It's
contract.
gonna have to be an exception.
So that actually means we're gonna have two policies then to track.
One for him
or
and
you
one
could
for
just
everybody
leave
else.
it just the way it is, because
No.
that's the only person that was hired prior to that, right?
Well,
Other than your
Yeah, we could do a
contractual
separate, we
person.
could do a separate MOU
Yeah.
on him.
we're
We could
gonna
do a sep-
but we're gonna still have to track it for all the police. And him,
Oh, the buybacks?
differently, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because
Huh.
this is based on something completely different.
Yeah, okay,
As far as the sick time goes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
So, we're still gonna be doing two things.
okay.
okay, so you're not gonna save any time there.
No.
The other question is, do we, with the 90 days of long-term and the 10 days of regular, do we cap this total accumulation at 720, 120 is what? Oh, I can't even think anymore. 840. 840 hours? I don't know.
Would that be the? So
That would be
the
looking
10
at-
days.
That would be the 10 days plus the 90. That would be the 10 days in a current fiscal year plus the 90 accrued.
So that would be at any one time, they couldn't have any more than that.
Mhm. I don't know, I'm just, very rarely does anybody tap the 90 days.
Right,
So it's like,
right.
why,
Yep,
it's not.
Until recently, and then, yeah.
yep.
So are you okay with doing for each month of employment not to exceed 120 days in any fiscal year, in a fiscal year, and a total accumulation of not more than 720 hours, which is the 90 days?
pretty much the same thing.
Yep.
It's just calculated differently, that's all. But then we don't have two ways of calculating, it's just one.
Right.
So it's basically what they've got now, right?
Except less. I mean, it's the same format, it's
Yeah.
just less.
Yeah.
Yeah. June, how many, you don't know, I have to find out from Dennis, how many digits Harper's will go for
Yeah.
doing an accrual.
Right.
Because if it's 8.833333,
Yeah.
it's gonna stop somewhere.
Right, exactly.
All right, so
Good.
do you want me to put it like that for now? And
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Not to exceed 100.
And June, if there's any other little things that are in our old policy thing.
Our biggest thing was, we want to make sure that it's in there that if upon termination, they don't get paid.
Yep, yep.
Prior to retirement, that was another thing that came up. Can they use sick leave before they retire?
Do you guys certify their sick leaves at all? Do you guys certify that they're sick and they have to have, like, all the stuff we have to do for any of our medicals when somebody
Those
goes
two,
out on
yes.
a leave, yeah.
Well, for the leaves, I am.
Right.
I don't,
In the
for
past,
for
no.
the flu.
But if they're doing it to use up their 120 hours of sick time, when you ask for,
We require the physician certificate.
oh, good, okay,
Because there's
all right.
actually something in here.
Yeah, can I, now that you've done all the technical stuff, just like we keep bringing up past scenarios, should we have something in here that if someone gets hurt, they are physically hurt and their job requires something physical, that they get a doctor's notice, it can be from their own doctor, to say that they can come back?
Mhm. We should have that in here, absolutely.
I think there should be
Return to
some-
work.
And
Is it-
not saying, I went to a doctor and they
might-
told me I couldn't work for a week, so I'm coming back. No, we need somebody to say, you are physically able.
Yeah,
Even if an issue came up once where they weren't hurt on the job,
Mhm.
they were hurt on their own time, but when they came back in, it was a questionable on should they be working or
Right.
or shouldn't they be working? So I think even then we need to have it, not just if,
I think if you're physically hurt and your job requires some
or if you've had surgery or
physical
something
tasks,
that
yes, to
says
say you are
Yes.
able to return.
in full capacity or,
And that we have it
yes.
Yeah.
from their doctor.
Does she have a return to duty
I didn't-
provision in here?
That's what I didn't see.
I was looking for that.
I looked.
Because should be the situation with all leaves, any leave, that somebody's out for unless they're caring for
Yeah.
a seriously ill family member.
but you still can get a note for that. You
Here it
know what I
is,
mean,
it
usually.
is, she's got it on page, I can't tell you the
Guess.
page because it's a different
Give it a
page.
guess.
I'm gonna tell you, it's under Q, injury and workers' compensation.
Oh,
And it's under cell phone use and texting while in vehicle, safety belts, there's like a whole bunch of letters. Let me see if I can find it on this,
Q,
that's
on
okay.
this one.
Q,
Yeah.
41 on
Q,
the
injury
So it-
workers'
it shouldn't
That's
compensation.
the one, yep, it's
Okay.
in there. At the
41.
Third paragraph down.
So it says in all cases, so when you read that, is that what you're looking at? Or if medical attention is sought in
Yep.
medical providers. So to me, that's under injury and workers' compensation. We need to put it someplace else. We need to put it, something pertaining to all leaves, regardless
Yeah,
of.
but even if they're not on leave, see,
right,
we've had a
exactly.
problem where somebody has
Yeah.
gotten hurt on the weekend,
Yeah,
Mhm.
let's just say,
right.
and then come into work on Monday and it's like, well, should you really be working or not?
So,
Right.
yeah, so sick leave is a part of it.
Even if it's just to get the town,
Right.
you know,
Covered.
without any liability, yeah.
And you can just bring your doctor's note so the town's covered.
This is interesting. There are, I just.
Certification of illness is right on the next page,
Mm.
on, under E. right, Sue? Right here, certification of illness on,
Wait a minute, I lost a page now, I'm really,
I was gonna say which E though is lost.
so I've got it on page 33.
I have so many. I'm gonna have to go home now and redo all these pages.
Okay, it's right above the box that says Massachusetts laws
Yes,
regarding
yes,
sick leave.
yep. So I don't know if we want to change that at all to,
Oh, see, that's the 4 days. Oh, none of that. Goodness, not yet.
we're almost
Yeah.
done, we're almost done. We got 2 more minutes and we can go.
This is the boss lady, got 2 more minutes.
I like
Well,
that
I
idea.
just, I don't want to push them too far. My word, we got
know.
through
We
a
got a
lot.
lot
You've got
done,
an
exactly. I mean, that
awful
certification of
I'm
illness
getting
is right down there.
tired.
Maybe
This
we can
thing's
just
killing me.
elaborate on that.
Yep, yeah. And do we
I
want it to be 4 consecutive days? Do
How do
we
you
care?
want it
Do we want it to be 3
She
consecutive
says no, I
days?
say yes.
I don't know.
'Cause you
Ours
don't
is
want
3
that ripped open.
consecutive
I'm gonna
days and the
whip-
manager
I'm just gonna
has
wanna
the,
load it with my 2 fingers.
has the
How long are you gonna be able
option
to do that
of
for?
asking
Patient
for,
level?
but after 5,
That's weird.
the employee's
I've done
required
that
to,
before.
to get a doctor's note or be seen
Don't
by
push it 'cause you
employee
don't want
health.
that snapping open.
But we don't
I know,
want,
that's why I'm gonna keep this on.
we want the person coming back from a leave, any type of sick leave, if they've been out for at least 5 days, we want them to make sure that they're seen by somebody or get a doctor's note.
I'm freezing.
Yeah, so we could elaborate on that as needed, right down here.
You cold, June? It's cold in this room.
June's always in short sleeves though. I'm freezing, look at me, I got a
It's cold in
fleece
this
on,
room.
I got a vest
You
on.
gotta fatten up.
So I don't know what this contract employees are not eligible for sick pay means.
Call high blood pressure.
I don't
That
really
would
know
probably be-
because,
No,
oh, they're salaried, that's why. So I'm guessing
Yeah.
you're getting your salary anyway,
Right.
so. Hmm,
Yeah, it's been
odd.
questioned before, but.
It's like some of our senior leaders, if they don't have short-term disability, they don't have the ability to buy short-term disability because they're covered
Uh-huh.
as a senior leader and they get their salary.
So that will change things for all salaried employees, though. Oh, no, contract employees, but
Contracted. So that
but-
would mean that you would have to have it in your contract.
in your contract.
You can't just, or you could, would it work if you say, because I know some of the contracts is based upon the town's bylaws.
That's true.
Or do we
I mean,
just-
maybe saying something like contract employees are not eligible for sick pay pursuant to this section or pursuant to these policies.
No, I don't know, would you be covered under
I have another
a
question.
long-term illness?
Hey,
Why
Sue,
doesn't it say it in the vacation provision then? You know what I mean?
what
It's
about
like,
outside vendor?
anything could be an exception.
we don't do that.
That's weird.
Okay, I just wanna make sure before that comes out.
Outside vendors don't get sick pay, correct?
No.
No, so I'm wondering if that's what it means, that
Me
if
too.
you're contracting with,
Maybe they're
Right.
meaning contracted such as temporary workers.
Yeah.
Maybe not contractual.
yeah, it's
Contract.
weird.
But it is,
But then does it, I lost the page, did it,
Don't
did
ask.
did it actually say the
I don't know why I'm
contracted?
so
Town
tired.
contract employees
I
are
am
not
too.
eligible for sick pay.
Oh, and Roger.
No, if it says contracted employees, it's not contracted vendor.
I know, it
That's
says
totally
employees.
Yeah,
I'm gonna question this. What does this mean?
Yeah.
yeah, because,
Okay. All right. Notification,
think-
certification of illness.
Yep.
Did you want to elaborate on the certification of illness now, or do you want to hold off?
I wanna hold off.
he's tired. He's had a tough day in the hospital.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. Poor Tom. You want another piece of pizza?
No.
Okay. You're
Now we've
tired.
tried even sugaring him up. Yeah.
He's
going
down,
All right.
he's going down.
All right, so that's where we leave off. So I'm gonna make a note on this.
Okay.
Start here.
And we'll look at the other, former stuff to see what we had in there as certification.
Yeah, and
Good.
also increments too.
Well, we got through some, that's
We
good.
got through the hardest part.
Yeah.
That was tough.
Are you okay?
I'm not supposed to put any pressure on this, and what do I do?
Oh, no.
Okay. I make a motion that we adjourn this meeting.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
No blood.
And what time is it? It is 8:04.
Thomas.